There I am. I just am trying to duck and trying to keep my boobs in my dress.
Hey, live stream. We're gonna start in like 5, 8 minutes. So, thanks for logging on. Get comfortable. I'll see you in a second. I can't tell Xander's like completely distant.
Yeah, and I match Xander.
Yeah.
And I match Xander, so you do the math.
I'm never in this photo. I'm always running around in the back taking audio. Oh yeah. I'm always like, it's fine.
You're covered. I went to Monterey for like a few days just to kind of chill out. I took an edible. It's wonderful and it's peaceful when I drive, which like there were otters. It's okay. Well, I did a 15-mile drive. We were really grateful. I needed to because like by the end of it, like my wrist was starting to ice flare. I was tired. I was just like, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm going to bed. Thank God not committed or anything. Although he looks like another family too, for sure. Well, it was our awards. I went to go see her after my show. She's like, you're bringing me here. And I was like, yeah, you did here. I will send you. We'll see you. It might not in the future.
I just want to sit down.
It's one of my thrift finds. I'm a thrift lord. This is not a thrift find. And parking is really. It is very unique, although it will never be my friend's purse. She had a clutter. And she used to press junkets. And at one point, Samuel L. Jackson came in. I was like, I will answer any question you give me. Just let me wear your purse like I'm Flavor Flav. And she beat it. And he did. And she got. Where did you get this one? It's a fun one. And it was just, I recharged. I drove up to Monterey. So I was I was in the aquarium.
All right, everyone, we're gonna get started.
Are you ready?
Hello, live stream. We're gonna get started in just a second. Give us some patience as people sit down and.
And please, y'all, use the front. Like, this is more
It's so
conversational.
embarrassing if you guys are
Yeah.
all in the third row. I feel like I don't know you.
This is not
and
a TED Talk.
I actually do know everybody in this
Yeah.
room, so it'd be really nice to.
I like my space.
I'm good with
Okay.
that. That's fair. That's fair.
I need like
Am I taking too much of your
Well, I
space?
just want as much space as I possibly can have, right?
Okay.
That's what kind of reply. But yeah.
Okay, Roddy, are we good?
Oh, you've been great.
Oh, great. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our post-mortem. Yay! We'll be back. We're taking a break. A normal amount of break that sounds like we're going on like some sort of unplanned hiatus. No, we'll be back next year. But thank you to everyone here who's shown up. It really does mean a lot. We do genuinely have these not as like a check it off the list, but we genuinely make changes every year based on your feedback. And we can't, there's only, 8 people that work during May and June for the festival. We can't be everywhere. So we're not going to see everything. We're not living your experience as an artist. And so we really do take all of the information you share with us today and put it into next year's festival to make it better. Will it be perfect? No, because there's not enough funding, there's not enough people, there's not enough anything to make every change we want to. But know that even if it doesn't happen this next year, oftentimes like 2-3 years down the road, we'll finally have the funding or the amount of staff to really put something bigger into fruition.
I also just want to mention that we have our survey, which if you haven't taken it already, that is one of the most important things you can do because that's where we gather a lot of our data. It's also where we're able to, and by data, there's details that you put in there, like what was your budget? Like what did you pay for things? And this helps us advertise to next year's artists. This is what you can expect. And the more data we have from that, the better, because that way we can present a more holistic view. We've already gotten more surveys than we have ever gotten. So thank you to this year's artists for being really good about it. But let's also just keep in mind that even if you're here and you're like, I haven't filled that out, great. Please fill it out when you're at home and share with us. There's details that you put in that anonymous survey that make you known as that person. That's on you. But it is anonymously sent to people. That way people can have like a real look into their experiences while at their venues.
Yeah, and with that, if you want to share personal feedback that is a little more specific to maybe you, your show, and your experience, the survey or support@hollywoodfringe.org is going to be the best place to do that because here we're going to have a group conversation, a group think tank. And so if it's more personal and you'd still like to give that feedback, know that those avenues are open for that.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today, so we're going to postmortem, we're going to have a big group conversation, but we have slides to make it a little easier. We're going to act in or speak in ideally solves, but also in like, hey, this was an issue, not try to solve it, any ideas, and we're happy to talk those through. And we have slides to kind of help focus us because this can get lost very, very quickly. We also start out our presentation with kind of some slides about like what the festival model is, because naming a lot of people here are going to know that. But if maybe you missed some of like the finer points of how Fringe operates, this will help you have context into like what the conversation is. Like for example, some people don't really understand the open access model. That's not going to change. So understanding that is how our festival operates allows us to have real conversation about things that we can change and not what we're not going to be. So next slide, Roddy.
Also, I wanted to really quickly just we speak in draft here.
Yeah.
So Lois and I are like really open to you being like throwing something at the wall. That's totally fine as long as it's on topic. We really take it. We really want to see the festival grow, become bigger, become better, and that only comes with like really. We don't take it personally. We understand that there's so many things that happened that were out of our capacity that we could make a part of our capacity if it really affected someone. So. Yeah,
we're big girls. We can take feedback.
Yeah, and so we're gonna get started. There's also, if you're on the live stream, don't worry. You can also participate via the chat that Roddy in the back. Woo woo!
Yay,
Roddy, our
Roddy!
programs director, is on the chat, and we'll make sure it gets brought into the room as well. So please don't be shy. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah. So all right, first slide. How Fringe works. Again, this is going to be so obvious to some, but just to make sure we can speak in context, we're going to talk about the model, the process, the team behind Fringe, and some stats. Because again, the team and like some stats help us understand the capacity of what really is possible, so we can focus ideas into things that are going to be more doable. Next slide, Roddy. Okay, the model. We're non-juried, open access for all artists. That is something we will not be changing. We have curated programs for those that don't know. That is going to be our scholarship program and our exchange program. But otherwise, it is entirely open access. It's a platform for new and existing works that are self-produced, right? Hollywood Fringe is never going to have the capacity to co-pro or to produce work at our festival. These are self-produced works, and 100% of revenue goes back to participating artists. Next slide, Ratty. Go back and forth.
Oh, sure.
What do you want
So you, what you do to be an artist at Hollywood Fringe, you create a project, you apply, and you book your venue. You register with us, boom, you're an artist. And that's really how the process works. And what comes with that registration, as you know, is promotion, ticket sales, support, press and industry connections, web presence, discounted advertising, education and networking, and community.
Yeah, and so those are the things like naming that we have promised to at least do our best to fulfill.
Yeah.
So Fringe behind the scenes, and this is where we want to like bring in that context, right, of who's actually making all of it happen. You have 2 executive team members year round. That's Ellen and myself, who work, of course, 40 hours a week on average, but I think we added it up. It was easily 80-hour weeks most of May and June. And so even outside of our capacity, we are limited. A development director who works 8 hours a week year round on like grants and making sure we're reporting on said grants. Programs director, Roddy, of course, in the back, who works 24 hours a week and then jumps up to 40 April, May, and June. Our outreach and operations manager who works 8 hours a week year round and jumps up to 40 April, May, and June. If you're getting the hit like that, April, May, and June is really when the festival team comes alive. And then we only have special projects, and these are super seasonal positions. Our events director, who's just April through June, our press and industry director, who's very part-time April through June, a social media intern that is through LA County, which is just part-time June through October, a guide designer who, of course, makes the guide, a lighting designer who lights our big events, and then a production person who I think this year only worked like 15 hours. Yeah, like it's, just like that extra on hand, and then party security. Like those are the people who are making it happen, and those are kind of the hours in which we can accomplish things. So let's compare.
Next. So the big number to be calculated is
my
our,
head in the way?
yeah, I think
Okay.
for this one, the only thing you can't see is that it says
To be
we had
calculated.
487 productions this year. Woo!
Yeah. On paper, our biggest ever.
And our full ticket sales are still being calculated because some of people have not requested their checks. So therefore we don't have your walk-up numbers, but I'm going to go through the online sales. This year we sold 66,000 tickets online, which is 10,000 tickets more than we did the year before. We feel pretty good about it. Yeah. We had more artists than ever before, more venues participating than ever before, and our team was stretched very, very, very thin because of it, because we did not grow. In fact, we contracted a lot of our staff time, and so it was one of those things that is to note. Doing more is difficult when we just keep getting slashed. We went down in grants again, and it just keeps happening. And Fringe is never going to go away. We are so lucky that we were founded during an economic downturn, and we can be like really dirty and amazing at finding where the money is to make things happen. But it's also not something, we don't live in a great place for organizations, which we all know.
And so, I think it's something worth noting, especially for this year, that, we had a huge growth in the amount of participating artists and participating productions and even participating venues. But our budget is locked in by our board months before we knew this year's numbers. So we were locked into how many hours, how many team members, and not that even if we had made a budget change, we could afford it because our grants didn't go up. And at the end of the day, registration, while it is naming a lot on the individual, it does not necessarily play a huge part in how we're able to operate year round.
Next.
Some initial ticket stats. So, and these are again online sales because we are still collecting door sales, but 685,000 in online ticket sales, which is 150,000 more than last year. 140, I can math. And again, quite a substantial raise from 2024 as well. And so that, as an organization, we see that as really good news. A big fear, again, like we're letting you into the hood a little bit in this conversation, but our big fear is always we're going to have more productions than we have audience to see those productions. And the ideal is that every house is full. We're not there yet by any means, but a huge risk this year was with so many more productions that our house sizes would significantly drop, and we're very happy that that did not happen. So yeah, 140 more in online ticket sales. The average ticket price so far, we're still collecting data on this, was still in the like $10.28.
It didn't really go up.
It didn't go up. Hey, nice to see you. And so that is something that we're going to continue to chew on. We'd love to chew on that here. But that's the paid for price, right? So you're taking that, like what goes into that is all of the comp swaps, all of the discounts you're giving out to other participants and other audience members. But it's an interesting stat. And the total comps this year was just a little over 8,000, which is going down, which we are glad to see because that means more money is going into your pockets. But it's a stat we're always chewing on and figuring out how it affects the bottom line for each individual artist. Yeah. I don't know, I'm giving you the mic. You're on.
We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so we had this is the data so far, and the reason that we put this up here is because all of this data argues against itself,
Yeah,
which
so we're
is
confused.
so we're confused. And so this is what we want to start off today's conversation with, which is that 42% of artists surveyed were within their budget, compared to 65%, compared to 72%. And, you know, when we look at the data of how much people spent, people didn't spend more. They spent less. And so what we're trying to figure out is most people found their venue reasonable. Most people found Fringe to be reasonable. Is it that people are paying people more? Is it that people are booking
not planning ahead or not really having a reasonable expectation until they're in the middle of the festival and then they realize, oh, I didn't like account for certain costs?
And so we want to kind of like start it out by being like, that's an overarching thing we want to think about today is how are we preparing our artists for the financial burden that is self-producing? Because it is a financial burden, and it is hopefully something that then you could make your money back and be like, great, now I have a little pocket change to do my next project. We know that it's not going to literally be your living to do Fringe shows. We're not crazy. But what we do want to make sure is that that number jumps back up. Because we were working to get it up this year, and I think we redid our supportal, we redid all of the information that was going out.
Added more sample budgets from past years.
We added dozens more sample budgets. We added a lot more transparency, but it still didn't feel like it clicked. So we feel like it might be a communication gap. We feel like it might be a cost of producing rising just in general.
Yeah, like print costs go up.
We also think it might be an economic downturn factor, that this is a time where people have less money to spend, period. But we would love to, talk about it throughout this today when we're talking about things, have this in the back of our mind, because it's one of the stats that really worries us that we've already had back.
And we don't
Whereas
know
the
why.
rest of the stuff has been a little bit like, okay, great.
Yeah.
That checks out. Oh, that was a little bit low, but we knew why. You know, whereas this, we're so confused on.
Which I would love to start with. I know there's not a lot of people here to pool, but I'm so curious. Like, how many people, if you raise your hand, used the sample budgets? Like, knew they existed and used them? Okay, no, that's interesting. How many people in the room, if you had known they existed, would have used them? Okay, and so it's just maybe step one sounds like it's just we're not always getting the. How many people read their participant newsletters on a regular basis? Okay, interesting. Okay, this is good to know. Thank y'all. None of this is wrong, right? Hey, come on in. Do we want to do a minute for thought or keep going?
Yeah.
Well, let's do a minute.
Let's do a minute for thought. Like if there's anything in regards to affordability.
Yeah.
And this
or
is
expectation
around
affordability.
around affordability and around budgeting. I think we can take 5 minutes here and just unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so curious. Okay, I'm gonna.
Hey, D here. I think one of the things, because I did Fringe last year, and I came last year. I went to all the meetings and stuff, and the number that was thrown around was $15 for a ticket. That's what the recommendation that everyone was saying. I didn't do it this year. I didn't go to those things. I don't know what number people were saying, but inflation has gone up in the last
We
year.
said 15, and then we encouraged people to set their prices higher this year. So what we told people was that it is, in order for us to change what's going on, if we want this number to go up, then we need people to set their tickets higher. And so we recommended, I think it was between 12 and 18 for solo shows, and between like 18 to 25 for ensemble, and then we did like for special events and like those like large casts can be $30 plus.
Yeah, I mean, I did.
Events.
Yeah, all my tickets were 15, and I certainly felt that with the rising costs and whatnot. And so, yeah, I don't know if we can maybe normalize, maybe make that more of a thing where it's just like, hey, if you have a big ensemble, we charge more. But then you're comping, I don't know.
And that's what we recommended. We recommended that people who had ensembles this year, the minimum was 18 that we recommended, because we think that that is true, that you do have so much more costs involved.
Yeah, I do think there's something to be said for like the Fringe knowledge share. Like at the end of the day, y'all listen to each other too, which is a beautiful thing. I don't want to like discount that by any means, but sometimes it takes like a couple of years of us making the recommendation until it sticks enough for other people to make that recommendation to each other as well. So maybe it'll.
Also, I think because people who come back to the festival don't go to the workshops, and I think that maybe that's something like we've been thinking about, and I don't know how to do this, but this would be interesting because there's so many returners here. Would it be helpful if like in your returning years there was like truncated, hey, returners, this is what changed sort of sessions to kind of like help push that along maybe? Like maybe that's where the gap is happening, is that old information is really stuck for some people.
Yeah. Thank you. If y'all could pass it, that'd be amazing.
Hey guys, Greg Crafts here. If you can't see me on the stream, I know that I feel like I kind of have the cheat codes because I've done the festival every year since the beginning. But so I don't attend most of the informational sessions for anything other than to sell my spaces. But I still produce a show every year, and I think it's very interesting that you're what?
One of us usually goes. Though.
Yes, but we go to plug the space.
Yeah.
But anyhow. You throw me off. No, what I was gonna say is that you actually bring up a really interesting point because I think having like a truncated like, hey, here's what's changed from years prior session could be very interesting and very helpful because I go, oh, I already know everything. What the hell do I have to go to these things for? Like I don't need the new information because it's all the same. It hasn't changed at all, has it? But of course it's changed.
And I do see it too, like on like Facebook groups or Instagram, like, occasionally like you see a comment that's not on something we normally see, but I mean, I scroll the world too, and it's like, oh, that information isn't correct. And it's like, but it's like, it's far beyond, that was months ago, or like, and so I think, there's something there.
And I mean, I know that you guys have all the time in the world, but maybe even like an addendum to the producer's guide or something like that. That's like year over year changes. Like, hey guys, here's the patch notes.
Surprise guide.
Or like at the top of articles with the bullet points of what's changed.
That's
and then
cute.
have the
I
full
like
article.
it. Okay.
Yeah, the TLDR for folks who've been here before.
Roddy, let's write that down pretty please. I'm so sorry to shouting things at Roddy.
And
Well,
then afterwards,
and-
you mind passing it behind you afterwards.
Oh, yeah,
after
yeah.
yours.
Also, really quick, some of the workshops have like a networking element afterward.
Yeah.
But if they all did, and we because I still think of them as networking. Like I always tell even people that just tour our spaces, I'm like, go to all the workshops because that's where you meet other people and bring all your postcards and like. So I think that like having the workshops really be a networking event as well might.
We have
bring
an
people
idea
there?
that we're just going to throw up the wall right
We're
here.
gonna throw it later, but I think this
This is like a good time. We were thinking about also doing maybe digital like work sessions
Real
where we're
office
like
hours.
this is the week to apply for awards. You can come to this session, and the three staff members would be in the Zoom room, so you could ask live questions while you're doing the work, and doing that in all of the phases, starting with registration.
So basically, every town hall, every workshop would have that same week, but like a couple of days later, a digital, real office hours.
Yeah. And we would vary the times that way. If you can't go to all of them, you could make it up in one of them. And there would always be multiple staff members. So if somebody's really behind, they could go have a private little conversation. But it would help us because we can't have one-to-ones with every single person. But what we can do is this.
Offer. And in thinking of this plan, we thought so we do the town hall or a workshop, have a follow-up real office hours digitally, and then from that send to-dos in that next week's participant newsletter. Like, hey, didn't make it to this. Here's the things that if you're on track, you should be focusing on this week, and kind of building that record. Yeah.
You did a bit of that too with you had in-person informational workshops, and then you'd have an online Zoom after, which is usually the same information, it felt like, but definitely if you'd had the time to work on what was talked about in that workshop, it'd help a lot. So
Your program. Roddy, I can see Roddy's like, sorry, Roddy. This was a this morning thing while you're putting slides together. We were like, this might work. Okay. Yes.
Sorry if this is redundant because I just walked in. Looking at the numbers and hearing that the two of you are confused by the numbers, am I reading it right that it says 62 artists answered and that's your sample size?
Yeah, that's showing you that this is a record number of people answered the question because 96 people answered the survey, but nobody likes to talk about money, so nobody answers the
Oh,
part.
Yeah.
interesting. Because my immediate thought, looking at these numbers and hearing the two of you say, "Well, we're confused about the 42%." Like 62 artists feels like such a small sample size.
Yeah, but it's all we have, unfortunately, and this is where.
Yeah.
And again, we're looking. I mean, this room too, y'all, right? Like, and we're so grateful that y'all took the time. Because if we had 100 people think about like the data we could actually pull.
Well, and my point was going to be like, I definitely received the email with the survey and meant to do it, and then forgot about it and moved on to other things.
You are the problem.
Yes, I'm the problem, but I get the sense that I'm not the only one who's the
No, you were in
problem.
the majority, in fact.
So, not my point being, it may be worth, because I saw that you're doing the updated thing to run final numbers for like October. It may be worth putting it on blast again, like, hey everyone, if you could fill out this survey again.
We always do. When this recording is up, then we go, hey, you could come listen to it. And also, if you wanted to actually give feedback through the survey, unfortunately, like, I think we could email you guys 10 times. And I think that the information overwhelm of the world is also at play here, where when you're done with the money part, it's kind of hard to want to do
we
it.
run a raffle? Like, how can we entice?
Mm.
Or like, we'll hold your settlement checks until. No, that's just, we'll never do that. That's no. If we could afford that, we would. But there has to be something we can. Yeah. There's something there. Yeah.
Or including the survey in the information of getting your money back. Not that if you don't do the survey, you won't get your money back, but everyone's going to read all the information, forget it. No, not everyone is.
It is in there.
Never mind.
And unfortunately, we can't hard code all of the data into the payment, because if we did that, then people would never get paid.
No, not hard coded, but just in the same.
It is. It's in the description.
Well, obviously it's not working because I didn't remember.
Is everyone more rested now? Because I'll be honest, the things that I couldn't accomplish the days after Fringe were many. The amount of non-laundry. Yeah.
I think it's an important question to ask artists, or I guess artists to ask themselves what their goals are for their show when they're budgeting.
Yeah, agreed.
Because honestly, like, it's hard to break even on any show, inside or out of Fringe, particularly in an environment when it does behoove you as a producer to give out as many comps or super discounted tickets as you can to get the Fringe audience to see your show, so they can consider your show for awards and things like that can grow their show. The artists are sort of faced with the crossroads of, do I want to break even and sell tickets with my big ensemble, or do I want to give them away and invest in myself?
Which is also, I just want to remind everyone, that is 12 out of we had like 26 awards where you don't have to comp anybody but the presenter that's presenting the award too. Like when we talk about awards, a lot of people talk about the community awards, but really we have 26 awards, I think, this year that were completely just an application and had further opportunity. And so sometimes I wonder, and we'll talk about awards in a deeper way in a little bit, but it is,
But I think, and the goal thing is something we talk about at almost every workshop in Town Hall, because you're not wrong. That is one of the most important points of success, is to know what your goal is and to not have more than two, because if you have more than two, you won't succeed at any of them. But like, what are those two goals, and then what are the choices you make based on achieving those goals? Because if your goal is to engage with the community and gain a network, those comp swaps are going to be absolutely what you want to do. You're going to want to get to know people. Whereas if you're looking to go to the next level, make money, it's going to change how you operate. And I wonder if there's some sort of a cheeky, and maybe in those these new real office hours, if there's a goal setting session where we can give advice based on specific goals. Like, if you want to share, we'd love to, because there's maybe 15 goals total anyone could have doing the festival, and talk about what are our recommendations on focuses and who to have mentors come. I don't know. There's something there, where we can force it. Oh, Jeanette's face.
I think we'll go on to the next slide,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about awards, and we'll talk about that, at comps and stuff like that during awards, because we have some questions there. So hold on, but that is the last thing we're going to talk about, because if we talk about it first, we'll never talk about it.
Okay. Next slide, Roddy. Thank you. Okay, so more to work on. So our LEFPI stats were announced at awards, and LEFPI kind of takes, they do an audit of the festival demographics, because at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure the festival is representing Los Angeles, so that artists are engaged with an actual diverse community that represents our city, that audiences have a chance to do the same. And so our numbers this year, in some ways, were fantastic and exciting, and in other ways, not so fantastic and exciting. So LAFPI found out through an audit that 26% of scripted shows were written by playwrights of color in 2026. That's down from 31% last year. 30% of shows were written by female or non-gender conforming playwrights of color, were 30%, and then 21.
So that went up.
That went up.
Yeah.
And then 57% of shows were written by female or gender non-conforming playwrights. In 2026, we just didn't change the date there.
Yeah.
But that's amazing considering.
It stayed the same too.
I think it stayed the same, but that's amazing considering the national average is 42%, and I don't think that's any surprise there that it has been a male-dominated field in general. So these are great, like some of these again, great numbers, and other ways not so great numbers. So I think as a community, I know we're focused as a staff, and the Access Advisory Board is going to be a huge voice at this table, but how do we make sure that we are, is it more grant opportunities? Is it, how do we operate to make sure that our festival represents Los Angeles?
All right, to the next, Roddy. This is what we're going to cover. And we will have time for questions in each of these areas. So we're going to stick, so if you are thinking about festival events, we're talking about ticketing, just wait. It will all come, and busking is not coming because we didn't do it. But there's other things that are that
trick point.
Trick. That one's wrong.
Okay.
But the rest of them are correct. Next.
So let's start with some easy ones. Get a feel for it. Tech-related topics, and I want to name the tech is something that we are always working on. There's going to be a lot of points I'm sure made here that we already know and have been on our list. It is a fight. We have one developer working on our website. It's not it's not a Ventatron. It's not a big ticketing platform. We have one human who's on our board who used to run the festival.
Our old festival director is our web developer.
Yeah.
We pay much less than we would for anything else. We are able to have so much control. And also that means that like developments that we'll see in a second, we are going to show you the list of what we are already working on, and then also be open for more feedback. But it probably won't happen for 2 years because the stuff that is going to happen this year was on the feedback last year. So just know that it takes time to implement it, but we want to hear your feedback.
Yeah. And so this is where we start to pull in some survey data. I wish the website had easier function for seeing shows that are coming up in order. Holla!
That's logical.
Yeah. Correct, and we hear it, we see it, and are working on it. We only recently, as of last year, got the function for it to be pick a day and a venue location. That was a huge update, so you could actually search the hub in which you were currently at, and now it needs to be in order to make that easy. So we know, and it's in progress. But some other feedback points were finding info about awards, searching for ASL interpreted shows. The search by day feature needs more work. Search near venue needs more work. Searching certain symbols in search bar.
Like some people's shows weren't showing up as their special characters.
Yeah. And mobile view needs work, which again, holla. A mobile view.
You can tell I truncated the actual feedback there.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Yeah.
Subportal is in the menu twice.
Well, nobody's looking at it still, so I don't know.
I noticed that because I kept clicking on it by accident. But yeah,
That's great.
There's two Subportal links stacked.
That's great feedback. And let's jump into the second one just so we can, because I think this helps tie into the conversation. So all of these things, and then we noticed based on the feedback. Oh, you want to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, no. Roddy, do you want to do the next
slide? A lot of the feedback in the survey were things that we do actually have. So it was, again, another confusing point. And so that brings in like the communication element because the feedback was saying the artist didn't know about messaging patrons, access.
Multiple people did not know how to message patrons and said that it would be a great feature. Multiple people said that they didn't know there was an inbox.
Yeah.
One person said it would be nice to be able to know, didn't know how to comp patrons. Somebody said that they would like to see all the shows they have booked. That's the calendar view. Opening night party info. I don't know how we can make that more clear. How buttons work. I don't know how we can make that more clear. And awards, that one I understand. I think that was confusing for people because they were looking for it in Supportal, but it was in the blog.
Yeah. But so our question now is like how? Because it's like not, I'm not blaming people for not knowing it, but what are we doing that's not making this easy to find? Like, what did we pass it down?
Very
the way?
fast comment.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm a venue manager and I've been producing for 16 years. The only way I could find awards was to go to the email that Carly sent me to look at my awards submission, and then I could find all the awards to send out to my shows.
So the blog
But I
is not-
literally
yeah.
couldn't find the link.
Okay, no, that's
So
fine.
Well-
maybe that's just me. It could just be me.
I do
But
think-
Well, and like there's something to be said for like we're never going to have it in a drop down menu because that's so confusing. Like remember in
audience,
June,
too.
in May and June,
Audience.
our website is for the audiences and we emailed that sucker out every week for 7 weeks.
I keep going
You
back
know?
to Carly's email and I'm going, no one else has this email but me.
I will say something we're gonna do in case this comes up. Is I know we've been talking about it, so I'm speaking in draft, but I think we're doing it. Is we're going to delete. The website hoards a lot of information, which is really helpful to a point. So we are going to be getting rid of things that are not like taking out 2025, 2024, and that way the only information that way Google becomes a better tool as well, because you won't have 9 versions of awards or 16 at this point. So we are going to do a really deep clean on the website.
And then I know we have to come.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then it's going to go down the
Yeah, I'll
line.
pass it on. So the first off, I had trouble with the awards, and I was Googling it, so I would find it by just Googling Hollywood Fringe Awards, and the link would come up.
That's what I do too.
Yeah. I will say the inbox is kind of clunky because when you send your message out to all your patrons, right, and you have a 100-seat theater and you send out 70-some messages, and there's people messaging you, and and you're trying to dig for someone who's trying to message you, and you can't.
Yeah, that is, I will say, that has been on the list for 2 years, and that is actually something that Ben has promised to really dive into this year. So I'm hopeful that that will be fixed before 2027. It was something that could not be done while anyone was actively using the site, though, because it changes the entire hard coding of the website. But I do know it is actively on Ben's list for all of the different pages that operate under Stagey.
With
That's good news.
Oh, sorry. With the messaging patrons and accessing inbox and comp patrons, I think a lot of it was covered in the workshops, which I attended because I've never done Fringe before. But had I not, I don't know that I would have found a lot of the information. Some was specific in the emails, which was like a step-by-step guide of how to message all your patrons, which was very helpful. But had I just been looking at the site itself, I don't think I would have found any of that
Which
information.
is also something that's kind of like, I don't know if we can teach people, you know, like without the resources that we do have, like there is a point where we don't have the capacity to, we have it in written form, we have it in audio form, and we have it in person form. And I think that there is something to be said that our solutions do need to be in those 3 monitors through the Supportal, through the workshops, or through, which become the podcast.
And I can't remember if it was in every email or not, or if I had to go look for that specific email to know how to access my inbox. And I still, even if I was getting like a comp request from industry or anything, I could only get to it through the email that I got, not through the site.
Yeah, that'll always be the case. It is hard-coded into the email because exactly the reason you're saying is right now the messaging is 1, 2, 3, 4. It would get lost so fast. So that is only supposed to go to the email. But what about, so I hear you, and I think, yes, we have these platforms, but we've been talking as of this morning about redoing our Supportal to have more pages. So step-by-step where it's like listing those 1, 2, 3, like if you were to email support and you get a step-by-step. I know many people in this room emailed me and we got a step-by-step. And then screenshots of what those steps look like. Would that be more helpful?
Yes.
And then we're going to put Supportal in 9 of the drop downs. That way people just keep
So
finding
that
it.
you'd know where to find it on the site instead of looking in my email that sometimes doesn't search so well on my phone, but search better on my computer. Like,
so I think that is definitely going to be the
all
off-season
those
project.
things.
I think if you had like, if it made sense on where you click it to find stuff, you have to like click and then discover other windows.
Yeah.
And folders.
Well, also some of that is like we are not UX designers, you know, and we don't have like you have to remember that like we're working with like a pretty, like our Supportal is not a very expensive tool, and you know, and so there is some of these things that are just gonna happen.
But maybe more categories, because I do know, yeah, like and Roddy knows this very well, but like I think maybe less is more. So having more articles that way, because I think it's like 9 articles that can fit that are seen before you have to click more, and figuring out a way to make sure those break up so that you just see all 15 categories without having maybe that more option is really.
And I think the FAQ, it used to be, we used to have like a website FAQ, and I think we need to beef that up again.
Yeah. Roddy, did you have something?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think for the live stream. And I don't know if it's a solvable thing, but it's something I want to shout out. Dara was saying that messages sent to patrons, like, as like a hey reminder, come, parking and everything, would sometimes land in their spam folder. And I don't know if there's a way that we can talk to Ben about fixing that, but it's something I wanted to bring up because I'm like, oh, that sucks.
And unfortunately, I don't know, because that is just the way like Gmail operates, and the more spam and bots we get, the more like safeguards there are, and it's coming from an info at, which depending on the email. But no, that's good to know and worth exploring. I don't know if we can fix the internet, but I'm down to look into it.
I think that we're keeping you over here.
Like, one of the things that was a real problem for me is, say I went to a lot of the workshops, but there were like, and you know that, like, but there were workshops that I missed, and I was like, oh no, I missed this workshop, I want to get back to it. Well, the problem was I could never get back to the stream, I could never get back to anything, and I was always like looking for it, and like sometimes weeks down the line when the email disappears, there was no way to access those sessions. There was no way to get to them, and I was like, and I need a, or at least, I think the whole idea of having this streamlined would be better, but like it was just, there was an accessibility issue where it's like, if I needed those tools, like for example, the awards workshop was like a month beforehand, and by the time I was ready to submit for awards, it was 3 weeks away, the email was gone, and I couldn't find any resources.
I will say that was in every single email. Every participant email had the workshop recordings and the podcast at the bottom. I know that was, and I think that, again,
YouTube.
It's all of them live on our YouTube. So if you're ever curious, that's where you find, and that's why we do. We have a playlist. If you go to youtube.com/Hollywood Fringe, they're all there. But I think what's so difficult is that the massive amount of information you need to have over multiple platforms. I think that's where things do get lost.
And maybe it's as simple, again, this is the portal. It goes back to, now we have a tab that says workshops and town halls you missed, and literally linking them individually.
I think we did that with the emails.
We did that with the emails this year, with that same intentionality of like, okay, you don't have to search for it. If you know you didn't see last week's, you can find it. And doing that with the email, or the video archive.
But I do think that, like, I think again, like, it's about like how, other than emailing it directly to people, I don't know how to get the information out there, because there are several different platforms that we have to use.
I wish they didn't. Yeah, I wish we could all just use one thing. But yeah. Okay, no, that's good. Let's.
My name is Linnea Pramel. I produced The Trick and the Pearl. I'm going to talk about the messaging of the patrons.
Yeah.
I finally had to ask Lauren of Actors Company to do my first message to the patrons, because I just couldn't find instructions how to do it. Finally, there was a step-by-step. There was one of the emails from you that just gave a step-by-step information on how to do it, and then after that, I had no problem. Yeah. So I do think there's a problem with the messaging patrons.
Once you found the information, it made sense,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I bring up something else while I'm?
Is it with the tech?
No.
Can we hold on, because we have a bunch of other topics to cover? Yeah. Thank you. That helps us, because when we go back to digest this again. Yeah. Thank you.
I think this could also be something that the online remote sessions could help with, because if you have staff members on Zoom, at least at certain times, if you have questions about awards or any of the process, okay, well, this morning or this evening, I'm going to be able to work on Zoom with a staff member and answer these questions. So more reason that I think that could be very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yes. And then one more, and then we'll move on, because we have lots of topics.
Speaking from a place of ignorance, because I'm so embedded in the system here, I haven't had to look outside of it in a while from an actual new patron's perspective. is there or could there be some sort of Zoom session or something like that where a staff member sits and walks people through like
We
the
have
back
2 of
panels?
them.
2 of them. Okay, fantastic. All right, awesome.
Next.
Yeah, we do digital web sessions to walk through each of these steps. Yeah.
This was
But again,
literally.
but I will say, but I don't think I've ever had more than 20 people on them. So like, it's yeah.
I was going to say, to piggyback off of that, is there something to baking the tech component into a town hall where you have live on the screen? Like, this is how you message patrons in a setting like this where you have a live audience in front of you.
I mean, we kind of started to do that with our budgeting and having that.
Yeah,
so I think
which
it
was
could
great.
be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Great.
That's right, yeah. Especially where like some of the venues are gonna be more set up for that. But yeah, I like
Can
it.
you skip 2 pages, Roddy, to registration?
Okay, registration. Let's talk about the website experience on this. To name, last year we did raise registration. We will not be. That is, we promised that last year. We are sticking to that promise. But talking through the process, I know we're like diving back months ago. But anything with that registration process that comes to mind as being particularly difficult or like something that was missing?
One thing for our out-of-towners, we are working on how you can notify us earlier in the registration process that you are out of town so we can track you better. Because right now we have to do a lot of back-end tracking, and we realized this year that we were missing some tracking there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Boom. Registration and venue booking. So that next step of the registration venue booking, was there anything, yeah, thank you, in the venue booking process that was overly complicated? A reminder, we did a Meet the Venues workshop, and then of course the site has the easy way to message and apply and all of that. 80% of artist surveys found venues reasonably priced, which we're happy to hear, same as last year. So yeah, any thoughts on venues? The venue like booking process.
I'm actually going to say something nice. No, because the venue workshop, that was my first workshop.
Yeah.
And that was the best intro to Fringe, because we went literally from here are all these venues and now you can go meet everybody and like go and chill and have, it was a great that was probably my favorite workshop, because I got to meet Jen here and I got to meet all sorts of cool people, and and then book all my tours, which I toured like a dozen venues,
and which is the ideal, right?
You
like
know,
that's I feel like
I toured at least like 12 venues that I can think of off the top of my head, and it was it was great, and I got to know venues for later because my show ended at one venue, but now another venue took it. So
That's the goal. I love.
So
yes.
so I just want to say something happy.
Yay! Thank you. I love that.
Once. Anybody? Bueller?
Perfect. Next slide. Oh,
Ticketing, ticketing functionality. Any issues with how ticketing worked on the like patron end?
Yes.
Lene, again, I'm sorry to say that my friends found ticketing very difficult. In fact, I had to end up buying tickets for 3 different people because they found the ticketing was just impossible.
Were there particular parts of the process that were the difficult, or was it just like start to finish, or just like any details help us understand?
I'm sorry, I don't have any detailed information, but they did find ticketing. I think it's also frustrating that you have to sign up, but they didn't really describe why it was so difficult, but 2 people just gave up, and I ended up buying the tickets.
Okay, yeah. And we have an audience feedback as well. You also know that we're on a whole separate process. We dive through what the audience said.
I think a nice feature that you could add would be, I have a lot of my I had several people doing box office for myself.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a digital way on the website to click who checked in and who didn't.
That's been on the list.
It's been on the list.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I think that'd be really cool too.
Yeah, and I think it is definitely.
It would also help us count who shows up, and it would really help us have data. But unfortunately, right now, not possible. But on the list.
Thank you.
For sure. Damn it, Ben. Looking at you, friend.
Can I have one?
Yeah, of course. Oh wait, there's one.
Is there a way that we, as either producers or even if you're buying a ticket, to cancel the ticket or change the ticket on your own, or is that something that has to be done through
It
your
has
staff?
to be done on our end. I'm gonna name, and again, like, would it be super great? Yes, but like, let's think about all the confusion in this room alone, right? About like, or like in the survey of how many people didn't know the process, and that kind of power for an artist or
For anybody.
a producer. Yeah. So we are pretty like stuck on. We will always do the refunds. Like we obviously with a producer emailing us, we're happy to do it from the audience perspective or the producer, but we can't imagine a world where everyone will have the education in order to not make mistakes. Like it's so easy to refund an entire house versus one ticket or
And also, we do provide our information to the ticket buyer. So we want to make sure that we're able to take care of their needs too, because at the end of the day, they don't see a difference. Some people are just like, I'm going to a Fringe show. They don't have any idea who the producer is.
What?
I just want to say that the business cards that you guys have given all the venues for the front for the check-in desk with all the information if there's a ticket problem. Lifesaver.
Awesome.
They've been fantastic. We gave out enough of them to more than justify.
Yay! Well, and fun fact, so that came up because we do a venue postmortem as well. Yeah, the amount of feedback sessions that Ellen and Roddy and I will be at in the next 2 months, I can tell you. But it came up in a venue workshop where like this was an issue, and it's only like it's a handful of people. But when someone's at a box office mad that they can't get a refund because they showed up 30 minutes late, and yes, it happens every year. Having a card ready to go. So we do and I think we'll continue to get better about making sure audience knows that come to us. And then we also can make sure we have the same policy across the board, because again, that consistency across the board means more audience and a better experience for the whole. But I hear you.
Yeah, so policy to not let us cancel, but what about change tickets? Is that possible, or is that similar?
I think it would be
similar
similarly
issue?
a
Okay.
cluster.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It would save me so
It would. I
Yeah,
mean, it would just because we
you're
would
not
give.
emailing, you're not getting those emails.
Well,
as
and
much.
also because that would give 500 people
Yeah,
access to
control.
doing something within our site. That could also that's just also a lot of liability. Linnea, you have one?
Yes, I want to say something good too. I've been complaining so much. I wanted to say that Lauren of Actors Company was just so good in handling the box office. So when I had to fill out all the information at the end about who bought what, I had no problem. It was just so easy. She was so helpful.
Yeah, we'll make sure to share that. Yeah, she's very organized. Thank you for passing this back and forth, y'all. I appreciate it. Teamwork.
I know not all venues do front of house. We didn't for a long time, and then we have the past couple years, and it helps so much. Like it just I can give you guys all of that information if you want it. But I know that at your central box office, people can buy tickets to different shows, right?
Yeah.
Is there ever a plan to make it so that we could actually purchase tickets at the door from our front of house? Because that would be fabulous.
Again, same issue, because because naming the tech behind it has the capability. I know you use it.
Well, yeah,
for your own.
we use it. Yeah.
But again, now we have not just 51 venues, but an individual box. So we run into that same thing, and it's also a matter of when it comes down to settlement. Yeah, like the amount of times things would have to close on a regular basis with that functionality in place. It uses Stripe and not Authorize. So there's just
Nah,
ideally
that's fair.
for sure, but it would also require tech at every venue. You would need an iPad. You would need a Stripe reader. You'd have
But
we have it.
It's
but
also
not everyone does.
And it's also not outside of something we've tried to think about. It's just that we don't have the infrastructural money to invest in a true box office system like that.
And it would raise registration astronomically.
Until we
that too, right? Like having some of the venues that don't offer box means it's a cheaper rent a lot of times as well, and so it's having those options.
One last thing. Could there be an option to just have someone? For someone to see your will call, they have to be you have to attach them to your project so they can access it. I know I had someone do. They did box office for me, and they said they wanted to vote for me. And then so I had to put them on as a manager, and then I removed them, and they said they couldn't vote for me because. So you're losing. It's just, she's not part of the show. She's just running my box office.
You can vote for yourself.
No, you can't.
We have admin accounts. I keep forgetting that that's why. Every year we question, it's because we have admin accounts. We can do anything we want to when we're checking. Like, obviously, we're not voting. But if we were to,
That's
we
great.
can see it all.
I'm so happy to hear that you can't, because it has been a concern for me that you can.
Every year I'm like, I thought this wasn't possible. And then as I'm auditing the ballot, I go, why can't I vote for all of these shows that I'm, because I attach myself to a couple as a test. And that's why, because we're not also attached to any of the ones that get a ballot.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's such a relief for me right now. I've been stressing that people could vote for themselves.
But what I'm hearing, and I think there's something here, like a quasi, like an admin light is what we're interested in
I
here.
think that would
And
be
I do
perfect.
think there's something to be said for that. Like, to add to the notes, Roddy. Yeah, and for a lot of reasons. It would give them less access to your financials. It would give them less access to edit. It would just be a will call view, basically.
Now, because of how awards work, I don't know if they'd be able to vote if they were still that admin, just to let you know. Like, that might be something that, like, just is the thing, because I don't know if we could take people out of that specific coding, and I just don't know if that's something that we would want to mess with, because it's already a complicated process to get that in there. But definitely something to
Maybe in a
just,
few
like,
years.
For a different reason, it's actually a great idea.
And also, yay, you can't vote for yourself. I'm feeling so relieved.
Know that it's a relief.
I got one.
Yeah.
Or at least I don't know if it's ticketing related. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's been around the block a few times, this year I had to cancel a show because everyone involved with it was just not able to be health-wise involved with it, and I had to take said person to the hospital. So, just kind of like everyone in the creative team wasn't able to be a part of it, and it happened so late. And I suddenly realized that I really didn't know any of that information. I didn't really feel like I knew that protocol. Just for people in the future, for anyone seeing this or for in the future, where does usually that information live? Is it in a town hall? Is there a place on the section on the website? Have we walked through the kind of steps of if you need to cancel a whole show rather than just refunding a ticket or whatnot? Because other than me just emailing the people beforehand, I really didn't know the process.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not wrong. And I think I'm putting two and two together in this very moment, that it was something we really worked on during the COVID years. That information was so readily available because the amount of quick changes that were taking place when somebody tested positive for COVID or somebody was exposed to someone with COVID, the amount of quick pivots we were making, that information was so all over the place. And I don't think it was the last 2 years. So I think I'm going to take that as we fucked that up. Because I don't know that it was clear. Because in general, it's like there's a function to turn off ticket sales. Like every producer has the ability to just shut off ticket sales, so you can't sell anymore. You have the ability to message patrons, but then first and foremost, it's email us at support. That way we can help you do that quickly and efficiently. And because again, they're going to be reaching out to us when they get to the show and like, where's everybody at?
Yep.
It happens.
And
then tell your venue
so I was gonna
immediately,
say, other than like touching base with my venue,
Yeah.
basically immediately, who they weren't able to get back to me because they were in the middle of teching their own show or like in the middle of it being involved with a show. It was just like I think I realized coming away from it this year. Luckily, we had enough people who were fine, who got refunded and or came to see another
I hopped
show
in later in that
Yep,
process.
Yep,
Yeah,
and it everything about it was very smooth, and so I'm rather okay with how it all worked out. I think I just, for me and for everyone else who's like me in the future, I was like, oh, I've done a few Fringe shows for a few years, and I didn't really know this process or this information, so how can I help it be accessible to people in the future?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic feedback and a very easy fix because we have that plan. It's just a matter of going back to like COVID preparation of like, hey, it happens. Here's
Beautiful.
how to do that. I love that. Thank you.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Ratty next.
Workshops and town halls, and we already kind of have gotten into these a little bit, so we can make it kind of quick. But obviously, yeah, we'll just go over to the next slide. So we had a shit ton of workshops and town halls. This is all the things we did this year. Hopefully,
We did our Discover Fringe channels, and it doesn't include like other
like during June stuff.
During June sessions.
But the question we have for you is like, and if you want to go to the next slide, or maybe even keeping it on this for a minute so we can look, but what were these helpful? What else would you like to learn that wasn't covered? What tools do you need as a producer that we're not covering in these sessions? For our year-round creative workshops, what topics would you like to see? And do you find attending digital workshops easier than driving into Hollywood? naming some feedback we've already received and are considering is that holding a specific session around awards and press, and with no other focus. And then again, using the real office hours to double down on that information as well. So anything we're missing that we just like, holy shit, nobody is talking about this at the festival.
Okay, only because I still have it, I'm gonna really quickly start on it. What I was thinking was, I don't know what it would be, so maybe Frankenstein between all of this, and I don't even know if it's possible because I realize that we are all losing our minds in June. But if there was some way of all of us being able to come and sit down and be like hey, it's the middle of the festival and this is not the experience that I thought I was having. What could I kind of do, or like what can we all kind of do? And so like, just for an example, I didn't really expect my audience to be such a low attendance this year, and in a way that like really surprised me. And so like more than halfway through the festival, I started panicking. And I was like, I was not doing any of my proper steps. I wasn't reaching out to the proper people. I wasn't going to I was just panicking because I was like, I don't know what to do. So it's like, if there was maybe some sort of like artist check-in.
So we
or,
have
like,
our artist one-to-ones. Who knew about those during the festival? So about half.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could come into Fringe Central, and we had specifically Roddy and Jeanette and our team who was there to talk through exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm not having the experience that I want, and I have a week left. What can I do?
Yeah.
Triage.
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, and honestly, we're doing the same thing on our team, where it's like, holy shit, fuck.
Right.
Like, this is where we're at, and we need to triage priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, Roddy learned triage this year, right? Because I said it every other sentence. But I question Roddy just because I think this is kind of dives in. We're talking great. We're going to talk about Fringe HQ, but I'm going to bleed into that a little bit. And would artist support be a better focus than like a bar, than like an audience? Like, we'd still always have our box office, but is artist support something that more people need? Like,
Would you like more walk-in times to like would it be more helpful to have more walk-in times with humans?
Yes. Yeah. Roddy, how many people came to artist one-to-ones this year?
I had about like 160.
No, sorry, in June. In June specifically, like the in-person.
I had way less. It was
Yeah.
a drop-off. I had maybe 20 people in June.
And so maybe having those digital, and because if we're kind of changing how programming is in June, doing those digitally is something we can offer too. Because also naming, if you're in that like oh fuck moment, I don't know that you want. Yeah, you want to stay in your pajamas and like, I just need to have the oh fuck moment on Zoom, and
Right.
then get back to business as usual.
Right.
Okay, no, that's great feedback. Thank you.
So sorry. On that, last year when we were at Edinburgh Fringe, they had their like kind of Fringe Central was exactly that, and then it had a bunch of other resources for artists that like they just had like a bank of printers. Like, I need to print my front of house.
We email Epson every year. Epson sponsor us. We've asked, and we really want
Someone get them printers. But
I
like
will say we did do a moderate, like a small version of that last year that no one took advantage of.
Nobody did it. Nobody used the
Interesting.
printer that we had. Nobody used the podcast room that we had.
They want like the people who wanted it.
Last year there was.
I never know anything.
There was for 2 years.
Oh man.
We're learning that Greg doesn't know how to
Okay,
print.
next year we're gonna have a hey vets, you have to show up if
Yes.
you're gonna know what's going on.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
like, and maybe we do that, right? Maybe I think even like having venues come early and tour all of that so that we can communicate that to all of our fringers.
Yeah.
Having a Veteran Day, come out and
the tags on this video are
Fringe
gonna get
veterans.
wild.
Come out,
We're gonna get the whole wrong audience.
right? But like come before HQ opens, come see what we're doing and what we offer so that we can tell people about it. But like, yeah, I thought that was very cool at Edinburgh. They had like the bank of printers. They were giving out stress balls, and they had a
They
themed.
had a whole mental health service.
Yeah, they had a whole mental health
That's
services
fun.
Yeah,
there. They had a
I-
whole thing. You don't have to do that. But
Well, no,
like,
we've been there.
you know.
And I think that is ultimately something we have wanted for a long time to move into. But I'm gonna put a table on the Fringe HQ conversation just for a minute because we're gonna get there so soon. Anything on workshops? You had something on workshops and town halls and
We're gonna
web
do it up here,
sessions.
and then we'll do it in the
Oh,
back.
okay.
We've been waiting up
Yeah.
here.
That's okay.
And we're
Hi.
at 8:07, so let's try to
Just in general, I know like after the workshop, if you have questions or anything, there's a Facebook page that isn't well used or anything, but if there's any kind of either social or interactive way other than saying emailing the what's the email address that you guys have?
Support.
Support. That word.
Other
Other than, I'm sorry. I'm
kidding.
Other than the support email
Yeah.
address, to not have to really bother you guys, but email or have a conversation with other veterans or other people going through it right now.
I will say, if we've learned anything today, that's where information gets messed up.
I will also
Well,
share
fair.
that what is so difficult is that we have all these we've had a Slack, or not a Slack, what was that?
Discord,
a Discord. We've had all of these things,
Okay.
and the management that it takes for us to be able to provide another avenue of where we have this information
Right.
just makes it even harder for people to find the info.
The gaslighting
Yeah.
that takes place on accident is
No,
yeah.
and I
But
understand
do think
that.
the real digital office hours hopefully can become that, because
do
I
that,
also
yeah.
I always makes me feel bad, but the people who email support like, sorry, me again, but it's like that's what we want. But
Right.
hopefully the digital office hours situation
I think
will
that
help
would help.
alleviate that.
Yeah. Or even just, I know there was like an artist area of like when we were originally starting and looking for a digital person to create a poster or whatever, and there was like 2 people and not much information, and I was like, oh, is there sources for like, hey, here's someone you can talk to, not that you need PR, but here's someone you can talk to who does.
Well, and then we're then saying that these are the people you should hire and telling you what to do with your budget
Well,
and your
even if
money.
it's-
And then if it doesn't go well, then it's our fault because we recommended it. So
No.
I also, I get
But there
a little
are some
bit-
people on there, they're just, it wasn't, it was not.
Well, we focus on very specific categories of things that that people just need, you know. Whereas I think like something, it's difficult. I think even that is difficult to put up because it is. Getting a poster made is an absolute need for you to have a good experience if you have no technical skills.
Sure,
Whereas
but I'm saying there
having
was
a
only
PR person.
Right, PR was a bad example.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as finding a person who could create a digital image or something, there was only 2 people, and I didn't know much about them or anything, and
I think
I
we
didn't
had,
end up
like,
going with
6
them
by the
because
end. Yeah.
I thought they maybe had to pay to play or something. I didn't know.
Yeah.
There was no information of where these people came from, and it wasn't like, here's 20, and here's people who do animation, and here's people who do photography, and here's people who do whatever. It
So
wasn't.
more information. I think we had 6
Yeah.
on the digital front by the end, but a lot of that is like people are like they're giving discounts at the end of the day. A lot of it is less even
Sure.
vetted so much as like they're vetted to an extent, right? We make sure there's a public profile. We make sure there's a way for you to make an educated decision.
Sure.
As far as like they have a profile online, they have, you know, you can see past work. Beyond that, so it's kind of running like the venues where it's like, here's, you know, 50 venues. You now have kind of to do the homework. But I will say that is where the Facebook group does come into play, is where you can ask other people. And we're not monitoring that, because that is the beautiful thing, is other people can make recommendation in a way that I can't.
Right.
You know.
And I think using that more
Using
would
that more,
be helpful. I
yeah.
think that most
so maybe it comes down to like recommendations on how to use the social
Yes.
media tools. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
some pre-use education.
Yeah. And
I
for
get
me, seeing only 2 options was like worse than seeing 50. If it's 50, then it's on me to do the research. If it's 2, I'm like, oh, why are there only 2? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, like we said, there was 6. But yeah.
At the time I looked,
yeah.
there were
no,
2.
that's fair. It
Literally.
adds,
So
yeah. No, yeah, we'll look at, and I think it's, and I will never be able to make too many promises there, because people come and go too. But
Right.
we'll always do our best to provide as many opportunity or
Yeah.
options for discounts as well, because we do stick to only discounts. We don't want to get to the point where we're now an advertising site.
Sure.
Because that is also it's a whole different can of
Yes.
worms. But I will say a lot of tech positions don't give discounts, and I get it. Like it's like
Yeah.
there's certain there's tech positions, and there's certain artistic graphic design positions that they make it a point in their ethics of not doing discounts, and so
Sure.
it's also a hard one to get in. But I think we can do some education around how to use each other's
Yes.
tool belts of information.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to pass it back there? Yeah.
Quick thing for my team, looking at this slide, there's a whole lot. And there was a little bit of confusion about like just the differentiation between a town hall and a workshop. There were moments where it was like, oh, we need that information, and we go back and we couldn't remember. Was that at a town hall? Was that at a workshop? Where was that information? So even just the minutia of the language differentiating between town hall and workshop
Something we were gonna do already that is on our list that hopefully will make that easier is provide kind of a one sheet after each town hall and workshop, so you can kind of look at like here's the cliff notes, if you will, and then so in addition, I think it'll work in 2 ways. Like you can take down the quick version, but also know which one you're looking for.
I also want to say that has been on the docket for 3 years. We have been trying to do that for 3 years. So I want to say like we are saying that we're going to do a lot this year, but also for 3 years we've been wanting to do it, and we're not increasing our staff budget. So
the real, I guess, note or the real thought though being having just one subsect of these are town halls and it's everything on this, as opposed to differentiating between a town hall and a workshop. I don't know, my 2 cents, but
I don't think I understand.
our town halls are from us telling the perspective from the Fringe, and our workshops are from the perspective of the artists.
got it. Okay.
So our workshops have panels of artists who will give their perspective, and they can give way more legitimate advice because they produced the year before and had success. So for marketing, we pull people with the best ticket sales. For things like marketing and ticketing, the best ticket sales and the best press. And for fundraising, people who we know have really good budgets because they submitted their saleable budgets, and we go, wow, they really know what they're talking
Got
about
it.
there.
In my head, it was always, I'm going to go listen to Fringe tell me how to Fringe. In my head, they were the same thing.
So I think that's an easy fix. Yeah, we can just explain it a little better. I think also these are good reminders for us who have been, again, doing it forever. I've been a part of Fringe for 15 years, which means like you forget sometimes what is common knowledge versus what is completely unknown unless we reiterate it. So that's
And the town halls are the only ones that have only staff on stage.
Yeah. Those are the boring ones, arguably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be key.
So actually, speaking of that segue, creative conversations. I didn't even know that existed.
It's early. It's in the fall, early in the season when people are starting to think of like, I might want to think about writing a show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I started in the winter, and like I was like, what are those? Those look cool, and I wish those.
Yeah,
I will shimmy later.
Yeah, no, that's a good. But I think it is hard because and we always play with the timing is never correct.
Yeah, because I was like,
I
didn't even know these existed.
February, but I think we do, and we'll do off season. So for everyone that is new, we do the creative workshop series, which is in the off season, and then we also do monthly office hours as kind of like a get back together in community, and so we will start those next month, or this month technically. We start next week. We have an office hours. And so we will like start to plan those out sooner than later, and definitely come this year.
Robbie, do you mind going to the next slide? And then I think it's one after.
Yeah. So artist tools. So artist tools and resources. So this is what we spend a grand majority of our time doing to support the festival. Artist one-to-ones. Roddy, how many did you do this year? Yeah, and then we counted. Yeah, it was about 152 is like our best based on yours, and then the ones that Ellen and I dropped in. So that was.
And that's not. Oh, there's a problem calls. No, these are just like scheduled one-to-ones, like an artist comes to plan their Fringe.
Yeah. So between 30 and 60 minutes each. And then there was, of course, support at hollywoodfringe.org, which answered just over 3,000 emails this year, which was a good deal number or more than last year. So people will be using that. We love it. The online artist hub, or of course the sub portal, that's what we're going to be revamping this year. And at a third or fourth drop down, that's going to just be my bit this year. The Fringe TV YouTube page, of course, where we playlist all of the workshops and town halls that we're doing every year. The podcast, which was fairly new, that we started that last year, and we know what a podcast is. I don't know why I need to explain that. And then the participant newsletters, those weekly newsletters of, in case you missed it, and good God, please know this, and the feedback we've already received and are considering easier way to navigate through the artist resources on the website, what we already explained, we're actively going to be doing. And then also, this was the thing we already talked about, the post-workshop town hall digital work sessions that are within the same week as that event, and staff is there for live questions and kind of a workflow with participants. So any
varied time, varied schedules,
yeah,
so that you'd at least be able to go to one of them.
And then following up with a to-do list. Hey, did you miss this? You're behind. Here's how to fix that. To try and keep it going. Any other artist services, keeping in mind, again, small team, but any other ideas or and naming too, like, are any of these absolute bullshit? Like, is nobody listening to the podcast? I don't think we're not going to be getting rid of the podcast.
The podcast is
it's working. Yeah, but naming this is when like we also find out it's like, ooh, we've cut programs where we're like, nobody seems to be getting any benefit from that. Why are we putting time into that? So this is also a time to say, good God, no more support at HollywoodFringe.org. Okay. No. Could you imagine? Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
we've really nailed this in.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it and we'll continue to talk about it. But these are really like, I think the core tenets. And I think that we know the communication issue is there. And so it's something about that gap closing with both these digital work sessions and changing up the portal. I think we'll have a stronger time.
Yeah. Okay. You had a question? Yeah.
I was wondering if you could just describe where one could have listened to the podcast. But before I say that, I want to just thank you three so much. If you hadn't done all this, there is no way that I could have put on our show. In our program that we did today, for this time, I put Hollywood Fringe Festival teams, Lois, Ellen, and Roddy. You guys were just 100% great people. But I still have a question about the podcast.
Yeah. No, that's good. And again, I think it kind of goes into that same conversation about really beefing up our supportal, making sure that these are everywhere. But to quick answer, it's where all of podcasts are available. What is that line that they say after every podcast, right? You can find this podcast where all podcasts are available. It's literally everywhere.
It's on the Apple service. It's on the Spotify service. It's on all major streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And then we have a link to it in our participant emails as well. It's at the bottom.
Yeah. Any other next? Great. Boom.
Press and reviews. We're going to talk about industry later, but let's talk about press and reviews right now. There's certified reviews. That means we can make sure that we know that that person bought a ticket to your show, and that's it. That's all of those certified reviews mean.
The participant can also, like as an artist, if it's your project page, you can also certify a review if you're like, Mom bought a ticket at the door. I know this is a real ticket, so I know that's something we question every year, but you do have access to do that.
Yes, you have access to certify your own reviews. Experience working with press registered with the festival. Did you add a press release to your project page? How was that? Did you find that your audience could easily navigate the reviews? Any thoughts on how reviews are structured? How was the press request? I can't read this. How was the press request process? That's a weird sentence. Some feedback that we've already considered, like some things that we're going to fix. Audience reviews tips at the top of the form. That's happening.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, we could help people understand how to write a review and give some like great tips there for how to be kind and also give feedback.
Yeah, like some things we've already discussed, and we'd love more feedback here is like, hey, leaving a spoiler, consider writing spoiler alert before you get to that point. We've talked about adding in if you're unsure of someone's pronouns, use their name or use the character's name, like that. And what's the third? And then if you don't have anything that you want to offer feedback or negative feedback on or whatever, what I don't like, you can leave that blank.
So being able to put that in that so that there's just that information at the top. The order is how they're posted and how they're input. We requested that to be changed last year. It didn't get changed, but it will change for this year.
Ben under bus.
And then what we really, really want feedback on is what I didn't like. It needs a new language, and every time we leave we don't feel like we've landed on the right wording there. I think it's very important to say that negative feedback has to be a part of this process. Yeah. If we don't have that, we're not a strong performing arts festival, especially because people are trying things out. You need to hear the hard things. I know that it sucks. You can either do no reviews or you can get all reviews. That is ethical.
And audience deserves that. If we're gonna do any sort of review process, they deserve to find out if what other people are saying about the show. And now what we are open to is how can we rephrase that? How can we? And again,
what does this thing need to work on?
Yeah, what is this thing? Or wait, like what would make this?
Because we need the exact language.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen today, it will not. Happen.
It will not happen. So we're going to come up with the exact language.
Yeah.
So
okay, so we're starting there.
What could be improved?
What could be improved?
What needs to be worked on?
I like what can be approved.
What can be
What is it? Constructive criticism.
I think what can be improved.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. Yeah, because remembering these are not necessarily like these are not reviewers. This is Auntie M who is reviewing. So we need to make it very clear. I love what could be improved. Roddy, we write that down.
And then we'll make sure in the description that we tell people that it's not required.
Yeah.
So you could do what, if anything, could be improved.
What if
anything could be improved? Okay, see, this is
what if
okay.
anything could be improved?
That was good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah?
Is there also
It's exciting.
a way that if someone does have critical feedback but they don't want it to be public?
Every year we have this conversation. We
Email the producer or whatever.
email, so that would be kind of on the producer because we've thought about this, and in general we cannot monitor. Can you imagine the private messaging that would take place? It's
From
just
our audience.
From our
Because
audience.
it's not about the artists. We trust our artists. It's the audience that we don't know.
66,000 people.
And
but
there's a lot of bad people out there.
yeah, I do think there's something to be said.
Bad people are going to write public reviews.
Not necessarily.
But they won't
They
because
won't.
we take down anything that has
Yeah.
hate speech or anything that is hateful
Yeah.
or anything that is causing threats, and we do. This year we took down
I think
multiple
I took
reviews.
7 reviews down.
And so if you have an actual harassment case, we have something that we can point to where if it
protects the
becomes
artist.
private, it becomes much messier.
I can't look through it would be 66,000 private messages. Like I just nobody has that capability.
But
However,
you can ask your audience
and I think
to
we can
send you a message.
Yeah, and I think we can educate. And again, that comes down to how do we educate on like, okay, welcome to the box office week here at the Fringe. Here's if you want additional feedback, if you're really looking to improve your show, consider using this function. And here's even copy paste what language you could use. So I do think there's something there.
Clear that the review is public. Like in my producer email was like, FYI, this is public, so if there's
Yeah.
anything you don't
I think
want
that's
seen
absolutely.
or you think might be not so nice,
Yeah.
consider not putting it in or email me directly or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think some people didn't realize that it wasn't just going to us, that it was going to the public.
I would say.
Well, I would say most people know that it's going publicly, right?
No, I will.
Yeah.
Every year I have about 5 or 6, and I will say when the audience emails for that reason, I do take it down. That's the audience asking to
Yes,
to remove
exactly.
a review. But it is pretty rare overall. But I think again I think we can do a lot more education in both the audience side of the review and how the artist gets additional feedback. So I love that. Okay, what do we wrote it down, right, Roddy? I'm so because okay. What if anything can be improved? I'm so excited, y'all.
Quick, is there any? And I know I'm asking Ben to code something else here, but
We're just gonna need to get Ben
you know,
next time.
maybe we throw him an extra, like cup full of rice or something for doing this. But is there because? Lois, you and I have both talked extensively about the bots, the AI reviews, the other stuff that are coming.
My
in.
enemy.
Yeah, I know. No, for real.
They've
And
gotten so
like
bad.
for project pages, like it used to be that I just go back on our older project pages and I would see
Yeah.
spam in the reviews and like
The amount
that
of casinos I know
yeah,
about.
last year and this year. Oh no, they hacked the Stagecraft's website and I'm still fixing that shit right now. Like I've been dealing with it for a week and a half, but that's.
Wait, was the stagecraft?
Not stagey, not stagey. Thankfully, no. But it's our WordPress website on our own hosting account and everything else. It's been a fucking nightmare. Half my websites are still down right now too, so it's a whole thing. But would it be possible to do to put in like to put a tag on the end of reviews as we're looking at them from like the producer point of view to say like report spam or something like that, just so we can be like, instead of having to do like a whole email with a link and everything else, just being like, hey, just FYI.
Like they could flag
So
it.
it could be, so we could flag it so it could get removed.
I want to name, from what I do know about coding, I think that is a complicated ask, but I like it, on both ends.
Probably is.
I think no,
Ben, I'm just throwing
this
it
is
out to
where
you. You can
this
hate me
goes-
later.
But I love this. This goes on the list of like, how many hours would something like this take to code in? Because I agree. I think it would be easy on the producer. It would be a hell of a lot easier on my ass. Like I love.
Yeah,
because
because if we could just hit something that like reports
Yeah.
spam and it puts it in a queue for review and
Yeah.
deletion, I mean, I know not an easy ask in terms of coding, but I at least wanted to throw it out there
No.
because just like it
There's
sucks
something
like
there.
going into my reviews and seeing obvious bullshit.
No,
in there.
100%. And I probably take down, and no, even with the projects, like there's a reason we approve y'all's projects is because the amount of casinos and they've gotten weird,
They've
and they're
gotten
harder
so
to
good.
tell. I will
They've
now I'm off on
gotten
a
so good.
tangent.
Yeah, now
I can't tell the difference.
Like they'll put themselves in an immersive engagement.
Oh my
and
God.
you'll be reading the description.
I'm
and
like,
you'll
that
be
show sounds so interesting. And then I get to a weird part where it's like they use too many of our buzzwords. Like they're like it's gotten really good where
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference. So yeah, but that was my tangent. Okay, yeah. D, and then we'll move on.
Oh, and then
Just
you're,
kidding.
and
Yeah,
then we'll go.
then we'll go.
Yeah, I had one review that it was a scathing review, and it went up, and I was cool, whatever. I'm happy to read it, and then it got taken down. I couldn't find it, and so I don't know if they took it down
They
themselves.
have the ability to.
Okay, so and then there's someone else who I talked to, and they were saying that you guys were going through the reviews and pulling.
It's
Okay.
yeah. I will never. There's too many reviews for us
Yeah.
to like go through and audit. But if somebody reaches out, we have a code of conduct for our reviews where it's like there's certain reasons I will without question. We will without question.
Yeah, I
remove.
figured it was that
But
much.
Misgendering,
yeah.
hate speech, anything
Personal when it's like
personal
they
attacks.
something about appearance, yeah, like all of that will get removed. But I will say, but if you wrote the review, you can delete a review. So it probably just they thought better of it and went, that was a little mean. Yeah. We've all
I just
seen
had
it.
a question about press release.
Yeah.
And who can see those? Because you can't see it if you're just going to look at a show. Why?
Because it's for press specifically. So press, like we register about, I think we have like 40 some press that registers with us directly. And then they have access to search those on their own page. Like they have their own view of the website.
Yeah.
Because the average person doesn't give a shit about what is in the press release necessarily. The press release is for press. And so they have a special access to the website
And there's
that
like
nobody
a
can
feed
see.
that we can send
Yeah.
out to people so they can see. what's
So when you
going
add it, it gets added to the feed. So they're able to look at it on the individual project. So when they're looking at projects on the pages they're interested in, they see a tab. But also, yeah, they have a feed page where they can search through all of the press releases.
Okay, because I didn't realize it wasn't up there and was like, hey, come check out our press release. And people were like, I don't see it. And then I created a whole drive for all press stuff and whatever. But when I was like, come read our press release, people were like, you don't have one.
You don't have, yeah. So it's only if they're registered press. And I will say, at the end of the day, press, just like industry, some prefer to fly under the radar and they will never register with us,
Right.
and some prefer that quick access. So having both is important.
We're gonna move on, and we have it's 8:30. I'm gonna name that we're probably going to end at 9:15, and so if you need to leave early, that's fine. We'll try and get to everything before then. But I think we are gonna be about 5 minutes late.
We have to. We'd have to be out by
9:30, so 9:15 would be enough time to do that. Networking. We are considering moving some office hours into like North Hollywood, Mid City, opening up our zone a little bit more, so that we can have for
I know, I live in
bigger
Burbank, I'm
and
like,
better venues.
City, come on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
we love a Mid-City
those
house.
are the two we're thinking of. There's a brewery in Mid City and a brewery in North Hollywood that we're considering opening up too.
They're outdoors. They're more affordable.
That way
there's
it's-
like an easy food truck situation, and also, I mean, Hollywood businesses are closing by
Like
the moment,
crazy.
By the minute. It's
We
horrible.
lost 2 hotspots since the festival.
I know.
Well, they're public.
They're public. Cabo, Cantina, and St. Felix, which I'm gonna get emotional. Yeah, yeah.
No, that'll be one of it next time. No, but Heartbroken, St. Felix, one of like our long-term partners, and they're closing this weekend.
Yeah. I know. Oh my god, I'm getting emotional. No,
It's really sad. It's like that is like in the 10 years that I've done Fringe, that has been our spot. It's the neighborhood. It's the it's everything.
We could have a whole town hall all about the economic
So
turmoil of
but the other places: Plunge, 3 clubs, Desert 5, and Bordners. Those. Was there any that you're like, please don't ever go back there?
I have opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I'm
not.
gonna name these are public spaces that we want to succeed. So let's just be
Yeah.
thoughtful in how we're phrasing.
I wasn't a fan of the Desert 5 because you're sort of mixed in there with people who are there to line dance. and
Cowboys,
and it's like a weird vibe of like theater people and then people here who are line dancing and you're talking to, and so I don't know, yeah, and then it's I don't know if we could even section off. Well, you can't because it's the bar.
Yeah, and unfortunately they have regular programming there, but it is one of the only spaces in Hollywood that can fit us. And also, it is one of the only spaces where we've actually got an audience because for some of the shows, that is their vibe of people who will go see their show, and it has worked for them too.
Yeah, I will say that is something like, is it worth it? Because I know I sold 4 tickets at one of our office hours alone, like, and that was just me talking about shows. Like, here's how to search for shows. So like, there's a potential, and maybe we can even structure that. We can remind participants before those events. We're like, hey, reminder, you have some actual like money in the pocket audience members who you might run into. But I hear, I do get like that it's, and depending on the event, it can be a vibe switch.
The Bordners,
Yeah.
when they like, even if we don't do Wednesday night, because when they close it early, they close that back spot early. That was kind of weird, and everyone gets shoved in. and it's like super tight, and it's like.
They have goth night. We can't change goth night.
No,
It's an institution.
I think I would just pick a different venue then, right?
Maybe we don't leave goth night. We join goth night.
Yeah, because it's at 9:30.
Right. What is it? Yeah. She says in her khaki pants, like.
Yeah.
I know there's like the walking. Oh, sorry. Yeah. There's like the walking stuff on the weekends, but are there any not loud bar things? I would.
We
get
also do a
very
park hang.
overwhelmed.
So we have the walks and then we have a park hang, and then that was like kind of the thought with the breweries is that they would be bigger, outdoors,
Yes.
a little bit
Yes.
less stimulating.
Uh-huh.
Okay, is that better? Yeah.
Yeah. And naming, I was socially anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, I
More.
love
I think that's where when I feel like we want more also leading up like closer to the festival. I feel like we didn't have one close enough.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the park hangs and that kind of thing, because Fringe is not cheap. It's, people want to do things where may not necessarily be buying $15 drinks.
And the parks are free.
And also, like, there's like a bunch of venues. There's a bunch of other breweries. Like, I know you're looking at North Hollywood for a brewery, and I think I know which one. It's a great one. But there's like McLeod's in like Van Nuys and
I think we're gonna stick to something really
so
close.
really close?
Because,
Okay.
because the other thing is that if we go too
Far,
out,
yeah.
how many people? Like it does need to be centralized
Oh.
to where our like. The thing about Hollywood is we are central to all the neighborhoods.
That's true.
When people are coming here, there is an equity from somebody who has to come from Santa Clarita and somebody who has to come from Long Beach.
That's fair.
Whereas Mid City and NoHo have access to the train. Like there's a little bit more.
Yeah.
Our goal was to find something off of the public transit a little bit better because right
Yeah.
now we don't have a good access off of the metro except for a couple of things. And I feel like the Purple Line will be very helpful for people
You
who
mean
live
the
in
D line?
downtown. Yeah.
Yeah.
The right.
Ride that D.
Yeah.
Ride the D.
We're thinking all seasons.
Yeah. And then wait, Calvin has something in the back.
Oh, Calvin's. Oh.
So has there ever been like a daytime office hours, maybe at like a coffee shop or something? Because I know there are always consistently like bar hours, and I know artists don't always have 9 to 5s.
We've done coffee about Fringe. We've done dining about Fringe.
Yeah.
We've
The park-
done
the park
walking
days are
about
during
Fringe.
the day. So park, we do Saturday and Sunday park and then walk. So we do have those. That was new this year though. You haven't been around as much. So you haven't
But
been
I think
around.
that the park hangs have kind of also helped with that because when it comes to coffee shops, again, the size.
They're too small.
They're too small.
And the dining is awkward.
The dining
nobody
about
wants
Fringe.
to network when they're
Dining
eating.
about Fringe was the worst
so
idea we
bad.
ever had.
It's true. Yeah. Oh, we could have a whole town hall about the bad ideas we've had.
Fringe HQ.
Yeah. Fringe HQ. So, yeah.
And we already kind of touched on this, so
Yeah.
we're gonna go pretty quickly through HQ.
But I want to like name what we experienced because we were there 7 days a week. Nobody wants a bar. That we don't see a need. Like our thought in this space was to supply a bar for the venue so that there was a place for people to go in between shows. That didn't really happen. And the good news, we have a sneaky understanding that there's going to be something in that area shortly to kind of fill that void. So we're more interested in artist services if a Fringe HQ is even needed. We assume it is because we need an in-person box office for accessibility, but also naming very few people bought tickets in person. We have a couple of long-term, like they come in and they buy $400
We can
worth
make
of
a
tickets.
meeting with them up at a
I
coffee
could meet
shop.
them for coffee, exactly. So we just kind of want to say all ideas are on the table. With the understanding of like this is a decent cost. Like we don't own space, we don't get space for free. We rent it, we insure it, we staff it, and we buy cleaning products for it. So with that idea, what would be the necessities in that space, and what would you get rid of?
I mean, honestly, I don't see a reason for it at all. I didn't use it. I just didn't really see. I mean, maybe there's someone who's using it, but for my needs, I wasn't using it.
I actually am going to disagree.
And see, but that's what we need. Yeah, both all of it.
I'm going to disagree because I feel like there was stuff happening at Fringe HQ, then like it got lost because June is chaos. And I feel like I lost that there were artist mixers. I lost the fact that there was like I went to one of the panels and there was a clown show beforehand, like with like a bunch of samples that I would have loved to see because I didn't get to experience a lot of clown during my fest. Like I feel like that just the problem with HQ is that the word doesn't get out. It's like sometimes I'll see something and I'll grab it, but like in June our eyes are intensely in places.
It's just we can't hurdle.
Yeah, and it's like hurting cats.
Yeah.
And just
we love the cats.
I mean, who doesn't love a cat or a dog or whoever? But I just also there was the parking situation. The parking situation around there was really rough, so I didn't go down to HQ that much. Or if I was going down to HQ, I was taking an Uber.
And then behind. Yeah.
Who wants it?
Related to that, is there something to, and maybe I don't know because there's things you guys know that we don't. Is there something to launching HQ sooner in the process so that the town halls,
we did that for multiple years, and we did it for 2 years, and nobody came except for office hours where they would come, destroy the space, and then leave without buying any drinks really. And I think that when we think about it, every month that we keep it open is like a $30,000 minimum cost. Every month, and that's the bare minimum staffing, bare minimum cost of the space. So it's one of those things that we keep being like, do we even need it? But then the other thing that is really necessary is these one-to-one meetings, is industry events, is panels. So would it be best to be kind of like a co-working space where anytime it's open, you can come and have a sit down with a staff member? There's like a waiting room to get into their desk.
I think framing it that way, and I know location this year was addressed already, but figuring out what is the best use of the space and planting it in a place that, like, for me personally, in between shows, I was at the Broadwater and would just pop into the Plunge to see who was around. I think trying to figure out how to orient HQ in such a way that it exists.
But there also is the Broadwater houses 100 shows. There's 400 else everywhere else, and when we think about it, our second biggest venue is not close to the Broadwater. It's the Actors Company, and that has its own little area. And then
becomes that,
I also will name the area that we used to operate in. We used to have a Fringe Central near Broadwater. And the Broadwater kind of serves that purpose, and so I think we won't put it back in that neighborhood because it needs to service the venues that don't have any access at any point.
And I guess that's maybe the point I was trying to make, but I don't know, figuring out how to tailor the space so it does serve that function for people in between shows.
Yeah.
Old schooler. You know what we like?
R.I.P. Paint Store.
We like the paint store,
and we would still have that if people kept coming. They stopped coming.
Well,
and
we
here's probably wouldn't because we can't afford the rent.
No, of course.
It's a paint store now. It used to be a furniture shop. It was cute.
So for those of you who don't know, there used to be it was a paint store that was now it's a paint store. It was an open abandoned building basically that
Fringe was a furniture store that we took over for a month. It was an actually used building. That furniture was heavy as fuck to carry
but
upstairs.
It was a huge open space. But what I really loved about it, just in terms of functionality, right? And maybe this appeals to other people. What I really loved about it was that it was somewhere you could just go and hang out. There was a bunch of tables, there was a popcorn machine, there was usually some food trucks that hang out in the back, there was a big back patio, and between shows, you could just hang out there. And the amount of shows that I saw because I would just hang out there and people would go, well, I'm gonna go see this show, you wanna come with me? And I'd go, yeah, and then I'd see something amazing. That functionality is what I miss, but I don't know if that's something that is
I don't think it'll ever be back because it's essentially what we had at this space was exactly that. We formed what was working there, and what ended up happening is that was also all of those old school spaces were pre-Broadwater. They were Formosa was not even like a bar that was really artist focused or artist friendly, and so naming
before Santa Monica Boulevard lost all the theaters.
I don't know that trying to get that back won't happen.
The walkability of our festival is forever lost because of COVID. We had to expand our borders in a way to make it affordable for people to produce, and that means that we did lose the festival nature of certain things. And how do we build that with our hotspot program has been something we've been really trying to make sure is how do the local businesses that are here really see that, like the Plunge, like Formosa, Those are like the two that I think have done the most successfully.
I will also say the drinking culture has changed.
nobody
it,
drinks.
very much.
It was very different, and to name too like a financial point of like that was how we paid for that space. Was we would ring $20,000 at that bar because we didn't have other bars for people to go to. It's just it's a different community.
We would never make $20,000 in a month anymore. There's no way. And
We made
drinks.
like 900 this year at the bar.
Just to throw
perspective.
this out there, just because we were located on the exact ass end opposite
Yeah.
of where HQ was.
Literally, I don't think I went until like 3 years ago or 4 years ago,
Yeah,
right before it closed.
I mean, I had no use for HQ. I mean, I tried to make it a point to get to Central at least once every year. And this year, like when the one time I tried, the parking was a nightmare. And I know that's been addressed. And I know that the fact that it was very central to the new cluster of venues was addressed and feedback given on that. But I feel like that a lot of the folks that were in our venues kind of missed out on that accessibility as well, because it was all way tilted over to the other side. It was a 20-minute drive, so I mean, I already know what the reaction is going to be to saying this, but would it be possible, since this festival is getting wider and wider and now going to the Northeast with Impro and all these other things, even like maybe finding a partner in a venue or something like that to have a corner of a space or something like that that's a mini like local HQ, like for a different region, like an East and a West or something along those lines, a way to make that work.
We've discussed, and I think it will continue because we can't spend too much more time on this, but I know that it is a discussion internally of like what it looks like to have like a shipping container box office that is like a movable space. I will name, like, we cannot afford to have multiple spaces open at the same time. Like, we just don't have the staff ability, and I can't like leave one staff member alone in a space. Like, so we don't have the ability to have multiple hubs, but we have like toyed around with the idea, like we called it popsicle stand for a long time, of like what does it look like to do, but then again, naming that would, the main function of a pop-up like that would be ticketing, and we sold less than $3,000 in ticketing in person. So like we go back and forth for that reason. Like the one thing that would work, it would be really difficult to have a movable lounge space, just furnishing it alone.
Convert a school bus.
Do you
Mobile
have
HQ.
Next slide. We gotta move on.
Yeah.
Next
Once
slide.
we move into transportation, we're out because I know the next thing is a Fringe bus.
Sponsored ads. So we do sponsored and paid ads. We do newsletters. We do social media. We do poll signs. Brand new this year. Woo! It won't cost as much next year. The printed guide. We're going to talk about that in a second. 6 billboards. Advertising through media partners. Press. Reviewers. Is there anything else marketing-wise that we're missing out on? What are we not capitalizing on as a festival marketing platform?
TV advertising.
God bless.
There was a TV spot this year that an artist got. So good for them. And like, I feel like we'll never do TV advertising because it's not our people, but we'll continue to try and get every year TV coverage.
Yeah, like I think a couple of years ago we got lucky. I will say the World Cup, is that what it's called? The FIFA?
That having Netflix is a joke and the World Cup on either end. Are you kidding? Doing press with the World Cup on one side and Netflix is a joke right before us was just like, like it was so. It will be easier next year.
Yes, and then we'll have the Olympics, so we'll have one easy
And
year
then-
before absolute.
Then we'll have another.
Yeah. But yeah, because TV spots, obviously we see like at KTLA, whatever we did 2 years ago, like we had a lot of great spots and relationships that were built, and then sports.
I was being sarcastic.
But it's always, we recognize it too. More radio spots this year though. We got a lot more radio interviews than we have in the past. So
Anybody else?
Nope.
Specifically the guide. Was it useful? Did you buy an ad? Do you think that's a good idea? Is the printed guide worth it? Many festivals are moving away from the printed guide. We'd love to know what you think. What if we just did like the daily schedule and we didn't have all of the different show listings, because that would pretty much cut our costs by significantly to just do the daily schedule and ads.
I would have like, I think 40 hours alone to work on a whole new program. Like,
Thoughts? Any of these? Do you have any deep thoughts about the printed guide?
Like if you wanted the guide back, what were the things you absolutely need? And we'll say it is an access point. So naming too something we're considering for those that are, of a certain age. The printed guide makes ticketing far more digestible.
I've been camp just moved to an app for years and years. I thought the printed guide was bullshit for a very long time. But this year we've moved more guides than ever before, and people took them and we're looking through them and we're all about them. So like
if
a
we
lot.
could just do a shittier guide next
my
year.
my
maybe that'll
my
be wanna ease in.
perspective is clearly the wrong one on this because a lot of people are finding sincere use out of it, from what we
Yeah.
could tell.
The other thing is too, just from a venue perspective, and having a new space on that side of the festival. We had so many people stop in to the Hobgoblin and go, "Oh my gosh, what is this? This is so cool!" Because the neighborhood is still really excited that we're there, and we were handing out those guides like crazy. I mean, people were so excited to have something put in their hands. So I know it's a huge expense, but I do think. And then we also had people come in, just literally just asking for the guide. Do you guys have any guides left? No one has them. So
That was
like,
a fun game we played this year.
I know. So like,
we ran out the second week.
that is.
Well, we
so
ran
like,
out at certain venues, so we did a lot of moving around. Like,
Yeah.
you all remember I sent out
Yeah.
emails. Who has what? Like, how do we?
yeah. Well, and we also like we try to move the guides. Like I tell all my front of house people, like get rid of the guides, but in a good way, hand them out to people.
I know.
Previously, we were getting rid of getting
No,
rid of them by the
it's
case.
marketing.
Yeah,
We
it
want
does.
them to
So
get rid of
I
them.
would.
This year, it was insane.
So I know they're expensive, but I would say keep
Okay.
them.
Question: were the maps also? Were people excited about the maps?
Be very unless someone showed up lost, which happens, then we'd hand them a map. But in general, no, I have a ton of those left.
So I wonder if it's not. Maybe there's something. I think there's something to the additional because I'm going to name. We can't afford to do like 40,000 guides like that would, and that's kind of where we're headed numbers wise. But like, there's something in having a smaller version for the person who's not committed quite yet. For that audience member who lives down the street who's like, I think I want to see something about Fringe. What would be helpful in a pamphlet?
Or maybe just
as well as the guide.
Yeah, like a little pamphlet of what is Fringe. Like if for the people who walk in and go, oh my gosh, what is this?
QR code to the
Yes.
app. QR code. To
Yeah,
the, maybe
and
the
then
map is
here's a
confusing
map.
People.
Yeah, maybe we should do.
That would be so much easier if we didn't have to do that damn map.
Well, I think the map is necessary.
I think
but
with the
well,
map.
Anyways,
So if it was the map plus
I
what
think
is
we
Fringe.
need to move on just because I don't see very
wait,
much.
Wait, one more guide and then we'll move on.
Sorry, we didn't mean to dominate.
Sorry.
Because I do think at the end of the day we're keeping the guide. I can't imagine it going away.
Well, I think that guide is not only useful, but it's also for the people who are participating, the actors. This is a printed thing that they can show as that this they were at the Fringe. That this is a multi international Fringe that they were part of, and they can show that and they can have that as a. I mean, they don't get paid that much. I paid my people, but they do not get paid, and this is something that they can show people.
Yeah.
And I really would like to see if any of these people paid for one of those printed ads, one of the big, a quarter page ad or a whole page, because I didn't do one of those.
I did.
Yeah.
Was that helpful?
No, I didn't get a lot of. I placed an ad on the site. I placed an ad in the guide. That did not turn over for me. I didn't get the turnover that I thought I would.
And we're just know, so one of the things that we're looking at too when we survey audiences is how did you find out what show you're going to see? And I think maybe there's a world, and saying this internally, where next year part of the guide ad education or like the recommendations when they buy a guide and when they're building it is to use a QR code. Use a special discount, even if it's $1 off, just so you can start to track. Because I do think it's really hard to know what worked with marketing. Because odds are you needed to see it on the website, on the guide, and hear about it from this person, and have it pop up suddenly when you search for a show and it came up nearby. Like, it's so hard to judge. But I think maybe there's an education into how people place it next year.
Yeah, I think having a discount.
Exactly. Now it's 23 or something like that.
I think having a discount specific to the guide or advertisements or anything would be really helpful because to your point, like, did I get people from my ad? No one paid that full price for it, to my knowledge, but did
it push
seeing that
them?
ad, then when they saw the poster at the theater and were like, oh, there's that weird vampire guy. That looks cool.
Yeah.
And who knows?
I think we can add that into the education for several different things, including in the advertising for the guide
That was
ads.
a thing for a while, and I feel like that was just something that was lost in one of the generational shifts from Fringe. Was like, that was a big thing. Was like have a different one for your postcard. Have a different one.
We
for your
always
poster.
talk
We
about it.
talk
but
about
I
it,
don't
but-
think we specify it. We're like each individual thing. We're like, and especially with the guide ads, I feel like that's a time where everyone is in chaos mode. and
There
it's not
was,
thinking
you
about, "Oh,
did
for later."
discuss like having one for Instagram versus for Facebook versus an email versus which I did, and it was great to be able to track that. but I didn't think of it for an actual printed thing because I was like, well,
It's one more thing to add.
it's another, yeah.
And I wonder, I think there's something we said for.
Because it's so small.
Oh, and we'll share the audience feedback as well. So in like September, we'll release a 26-page annual.
October. Yeah,
in
by
October,
October 1st.
we'll release a 26-page annual report that includes all of the stats, like the teasers. No, I know, I'm getting excited. But it will include things like how many audience members bought a ticket based on the poll signs, based on the guide ads, based on the impressions. Like we share that information. That way, you can make an educated decision next year, or the people who do participate can learn from the information. So all of that will be tallied for sure.
Next.
Accessibility.
Accessibility, we're going to talk about a lot with our Access Advisory Board. We have like a lot that we've already discussed this year about things that happened this year. But did anybody have any experiences regarding accessibility? Were the accessibility flags helpful? Is there any feedback that you have about your experience with using the accessible parts, like the flags or searching for accessible shows?
Right.
No.
I
Great.
feel like that we have specific.
We have some specific people we're going to work on some stuff with. Yeah.
If there's someone who in your audience kind of needed, like, I don't need wheelchair accessibility, but I need a chair on the aisle, like, to let the audience know they can message about that so that we could tape that off or whatever it is.
So when they buy a ticket, there's a place that says, is there an accessibility need? And it's a blank spot for them to write in for exactly that reason, because people's accessibility needs are so varied. Some people it's a seat towards the front. Some people might need like a copy of the script because they are hard of hearing. Some people might need other things.
Or sometimes it's if it's possible, but I don't need it. And know that so the producer has access and the venue has access. And there's a special tab on both. That way you have essentially two people who are looking at that.
And this year we didn't have a lot of people who made requests that didn't get their requests met. So
No.
that was not a big deal like
I
we've
talked
had
to a
before.
lot of patrons on the phone who were very pleased.
So
with,
so I
especially
think it
venues.
is working.
So
And if you didn't get a request, you wouldn't
Yeah.
really know
Yeah.
how that shows up. So yeah.
Okay. Let's jump into
festival-wide events.
Yeah.
Any feedback about Runway, which obviously we're gonna have to find a new venue for. Opening night and awards and closing. Is there? Yes. Could we? If one of the big issues with bigger venues is bigger budgets, and we will not be spending more money on these parties because they're very expensive.
Yeah.
So they will be there next year.
I'm good. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
They will not be changing location except for safety lights.
I would say the one note I have for like the closing night party, which for me was kind of sad, was like this, like people, once the awards happened, people just bounced. I was like, make it a party. Like, let's dance.
We
Or,
can't because of the, we have to end by
Neighborhood
11
code.
PM for the neighborhood reasons.
oh, and did it end?
It's neighborhood code.
And then we've had after parties at other places, and then it's out of our. That is actually where the problems happen. Was when
We prefer that everyone goes their separate ways.
you guys all go do your thing.
Love you all, but there's so many feelings. I will say, because I agree. Like honestly, people here, right? There's happy feelings, but it's also a very stressful time, and so sometimes it is like it's kind of okay to have the pre-party before the awards, which we did this year, and maybe there's a world where it can move up, but like we could have a longer pre-party.
It was 2 hours.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, could we pass the mic?
Yeah. Closing night party, award party, awesome. Party, cool. Yes, music. Party for opening night, not cool. Because it turns out most of us still feel all nervous and anxious that our ticket sales didn't move the way that we did. And opening night, year after year after year, always turns into the last office hours of, hey, let me tell you about my show, brand new person I've never met who looks nice. And then I can barely hear you because I'm screaming over the loudspeaker or the DJ. And it's never, 3 years in a row now, it's never the vibe of opening night where people actually want to go party, dance, and drink. Everyone ends up networking. Everyone ends up talking with each other. Everyone ends up just wanting to have the discussion of what is your show, where is your venue, how's your experience been, and it feels sometimes impossible with how much that the music gets loud at the LGBT. There's no ever like quiet space to kind of have a private conversation if you're really having a serious conversation.
So I will say we can't control people. However, is there something to be said? Because I feel like I get it, right? I get it, but it is so important to take a beat and be a person. And I wonder if some of that is education of like, hey friends, reminder, tonight is about celebrating what you've got. Are you stressed? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. Are you likely, you probably have 7 things you have to do tomorrow to fix whatever issue you're having? Yes. Tonight is not about that. And we will have, open sessions. What is it? Maybe. I gotta fucking love that.
No, because we also, it is one of the only times that we get our sponsors, our press, all of these people are all in the right spot, and they do go on that like postcard, like little walk where there it is. They do actually utilize that, and people who are audience members do come early, and they do go look at that postcard little wall.
But maybe that's it. Like,
I think that the truth is that we do have to keep it a party. It's a party. It's not an office hours. It is a celebration. And so how can we change that narrative if that is what people's experience is?
I think there's a balance.
I genuinely didn't know.
I think there's a balance to be here because I'm 100%. Like I've felt this for the entire time we've done Fringe. Yeah. It's the music level. I'm not saying get rid of music. Of course have music. But it is so loud that no matter how far away you get from the speaker, you leave with your ears physically ringing, and that's a problem. Like, because I can't even like
hear well.
I mean, I'm having a hard time
I hear that all the
feeling
time
like,
from all of our participants.
but I was also in that party the whole time and in the center area where it is the music, and I was having conversations pretty fine. And we do have a quiet area, and we do have an area to take your photos and your videos. And I just think that, I think we should move on because I don't think we're going to change anything.
It's just a balance. It's not get rid of the music.
Yeah, because I
turn it down a little bit.
I'm now starting to wonder.
Yeah, bigger group.
Because if you guys are feeling one way, but the artists are feeling a different
No,
way.
yeah.
Talk to people. I'm not here for the music.
Jen and I are also huge dorks who don't like to party. So, so let's throw that out there. We're not bar-going people. We don't like having to yell over music and stuff. So, we have a perspective of our own.
I think it's something worth looking at. And maybe it's even just like hey, from this time to this time it gets quieter. And then you know what?
Well, we already do that because that's why we have the VIP portion for people to come if you want to come early. Unfortunately, you got to pay a little money, but there's way less people. It's $25, guys, and you get a free drink. So like you're basically paying for a very expensive drink, but that is the like I think we got to move on.
Yeah. Oh right.
Oh. No. It's okay. Do you have a question from the chat?
No, just a second that this was the first year we activated the gallery space, and that acted as a quieter networking area.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I noticed that, and that was really nice.
I think the community's going to become wiser to that, but because it's the first year that we might see that happen, that's the only thing I wanted to add.
I was not aware of that.
I put it to good use.
I think 9 times out of 10 are issues. So it's about like, and maybe there's signage, maybe I think in the pre-email we can get better at hey, here's what this party is. And that, and explain that, and then say if you were looking for a low sensory space, if you're looking for a quieter space to network, here's where you do that. The center will be a dance floor. It'll be about forgetting that you are all producers for a minute, remembering that you are people. Like we can kind of prep people for that experience.
I want to talk
way.
about awards because awards is more important to talk about than this.
Skip over to awards, Bradley. Awards. How'd it go?
How do we feel about changing the process for voting for community awards? We feel very strongly that the Discover Fringe Awards are in a shape that we can control and expand and make that bigger. And is it worth having a community voted process for 12 awards when we could just maybe focus more on more sponsored awards and more awards that come with physical opportunity and have their own sets of requirements?
And to name right now, so this is something we haven't really made major shifts to in the last 16 years. So this is like a spaghetti at the wall moment, and naming a lot of this. We'll take all this information and then figure out what we actually have capacity to do. Because at the end of the day, there's only so many of us and so many, I can't go to 492 shows or manage judges to go to 492 shows. So we're looking at capacity and also what's an idea that would feel more that people would be happy with.
And just as a reminder, so the Discover Fringe Awards, that was all of like the Adelaide Exchange Award, the Sydney Fringe Exchange Award, but that's also NAMBA, that's also the Freeway Circuit. That's all of those are called sponsored awards. And then the community awards, those are all voted on by a committee. So everybody who submits a Discover Fringe Award, they have to create a committee. They have to commit to seeing a certain number of shows depending on what type of show, of work they're looking for. So if they're like an immersive award, they're not going to see all of the shows of the festival. They're going to have a smaller pocket. Whereas somebody who's looking for solo shows, they have to see a significant amount. And a lot of them have these very robust systems to do so.
Can we audit that, and is it going to be perfect? No, because people are people, and like sometimes people get sick and miss the show they meant to see.
We have equity recommendations within that about how to make your committees equitable. We have a process for like checking in with industry, making it easy for them to be able to offer this out.
We have a system where you can no longer present an award. This didn't go well. Like,
And so that has been our focus in growing that. And as we've grown that, every year we're just getting this feedback about these community awards. And they are overshadowing the bigger award system now that is actually providing opportunity.
so spaghetti at the wall. D, you have your hand up.
These are our thoughts.
I mean, I hold the community awards to be the highest prestige of all the awards, honestly, because it just kind of says how your peers feel about your stuff. I do feel they should be better defined over what's an award, and a lot of people came up to me and they said the similar things, which was like, you know, you have a solo show and you have a clown show, and what how do you define what it is? Comedic theater, right? I saw different shows that I didn't think were like they would qualify as comedic theater, but they're in the same category.
Something we've talked about, like as a potential, like maybe like a slow burn fix, is because it's you self-identify into whatever category, right? That's for awards, and that is also for your category in the guide. Something that we have been noodling is, I'm doing a whole noodle kick right now. I don't know what's happening, but is like doing some auditing on that, where it's like, hey pal, I see that you're in this. Can you explain to me? Can you answer 5 questions to see if you really are in that? So to do our part in helping manage for some of those, because some of the shows were not in the right category, like 100%. I saw a show, saw it in a certain category, and went, how did that end up there? And so I think there is something to be said for if it stays the same, we're going to audit a little more and make recommendations.
Someone had suggested to me that if you have an ensemble cast, which I had, and there's a bunch of shows that had ensemble cast, it's like very difficult to put up one of these shows. Yeah. And you have like popularity contest of like solo shows, and they're coming through and they're just in your category. And like someone had said, you should split like comedic theater into solo and group, and then you should do drama into solo and group. I don't know if it's something.
Like a good idea.
I don't know if that's something you guys want to do, but I know those
we
are
will
the two.
we will not be adding categories. We could change what categories we have, but we will not be. There's no reason for us to have more than 12 categories for these awards. You know, that's 9 categories of what people can select into. We're open to changing what those 9 categories are, but we won't. That would take away certain categories that those people can already put themselves into.
I mean, do you think there should be a separate category for large cast shows, or people with, even if it's just 2 people?
I mean, and there are tags.
We've had it in the past, and it didn't. They had the ensemble category got even smaller because they can go into comedic theater, they can go into this, and instead of going, and if they're in ensemble, I think that there is a something to say that is taking away the solo theater award, but also some work is traditional solo theater. It wouldn't fit anywhere else because it's a storytelling show.
When people select their category, defining their category, I think
there is one.
And
is there?
yeah, and especially, and I do think the confusion comes in. We do it early, and that's how you select again into the guide, and that's where we are very thorough. We have articles. It says it in the registration process, but maybe a reminder pre-awards where it's like, hey, did you realize halfway through the Fringe that you were in the wrong category? What a great time to relook at this list.
Because you can change your category up to any time.
People changed after voting started.
Yeah, and
yeah. Just to throw this out there, and look, 99% of the Facebook drama was because people didn't read the damn manual on how any of this stuff worked, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But what if we're talking about changing how the community awards work? God, now that I'm saying this, I feel like it's kind of killing the definition of community. But what if we restricted further restricted who could actually vote? That's considered to be
That's
community.
one of our
That's
thoughts.
something
Like
we're thinking
going to the producers only, because you have these huge cast shows with everybody on the project page, and if you can't vote for yourself, which we don't want. I want to make it clear.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be able to vote for
Well, then,
themselves.
yeah, the
but you
largest
have these
ensemble
huge
would win every
blocks of
year.
people that versus a solo show. It's like the voting per project is kind of skewed a little
So
bit.
you were,
Yeah.
just to make sure I understand,
So-
you're thinking like producers only, or as opposed to teams, or are you saying artists only as opposed to audience?
I would say either producers only or artists only, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know how much.
yeah.
Like, honestly, it would just make it even more of a popularity
Yeah.
contest
Exactly, I
than
was
it
gonna
already
say,
is
and
if
that-
we did
if
that.
anything for
Yeah.
me,
I'm
I
just
think
spitting it out here.
For
just
anything
throwing it
for
out.
me, I think it leans into it doesn't actually matter for like, and I'm just speaking in draft. I haven't thrown this noodle against the wall at all yet, but I think if you're producers, artists, audiences all fall under the exact same restrictions. If you didn't see, and maybe it's more shows, if you didn't see 7 shows, you do not get to vote.
And
Would
I
that solve the
also-
popularity a little bit?
I also like the thing that worries me the most is that we have this like open thing that we don't verify if people have even seen more than one show in that category, and
In
some
that category, we verify
and
that they've seen more than that many shows.
and so I think that is something to be said, is like maybe it's about audiences having a higher threshold, but also having it B3 does sometimes get people to see that 4th or 5th. Because they realize that they can vote in the last week, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna vote then." Like, and they do take it pretty seriously. And so sometimes I do wonder if we have less problems than we realize. It's just that like I don't know. It's I go back and forth. Let's go.
Can I ask a
here
really
and
dumb
then in the
question real
front.
fast, though? Not asking to see specific vote totals or anything like that, but do you know what the percentage is of voters that are producers versus participants versus like artists versus audience?
We've never pulled that. We could. I mean, it'd be interesting.
Could, in theory, I will say the average, in just the correspondence, because I'm the only one who can give someone a ballot, and the vast majority of the active voters are artists within. And then, yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question here? Because it sounds like you want to like shift the culture surrounding awards to place the emphasis on the Discover Fringe Awards as opposed to the community awards. Is that a fair assessment based on like the questions you're asking?
We're considering it, and I guess not even because who knows? At the end of the day, this is a check-in because it's been 16 years since we've asked the question of like, is this working? But I think yes, in that the Discover Fringe Awards, the producers who are applying for them are looking to do something next with the show, right? It's not, and whereas the community awards are very much focused on it's encouraging a lot of comp tickets, which is also something that is highly on our radar of like you are being encouraged. If you want to win a community award, you're being encouraged to not make any money.
And that for us is at the end of the day the biggest problem, and that's where I am having the biggest problem is like we have 9 awards based on category that I wonder if we just personally, if Ellen made this decision today, I would do away with all community awards. But the bigger proposal is to get rid of all the category awards and just do top of Fringe voted, the best world premiere voted, and call it a day. Maybe best international
And
or best out of town to give
Maybe-
a boost to the out of towners.
Yeah.
Period.
And I don't disagree with that. I made the analogy to somebody that community awards to me personally felt like running for senior superlatives in the high school yearbook. Like it felt just kind of ridiculous. And so much emphasis was placed on those awards. Like my producer and I basically are in the whole question of what are your goals for the festival? And it was leveraging the success of our audience and getting the attention of producers. And it felt like achieving that goal was at odds with community awards.
Yeah. And I want to name just like outright, like in 16 years of awards, I have seen, this does not discount the talent, the amazingness of the people who have won awards in the past. Also recognizing out of 500 shows, hundreds of shows should have gotten in these award categories, right? So naming it doesn't like discount that, but it is 100% right in that it is a mixture, and just watching it from afar every year, and some are different. Some we see swing one way and others swing another, but it is very much like the spirit of the Fringe in a lot of ways, depending. And yeah.
and then we'll come into the front. We have here and then there.
Yeah. I just devil's advocate on that.
Yeah.
I as someone who really kind of shot herself in the foot for opportunities what it felt like moving past the festival because my show didn't get attended in the way that I wanted it to. Being able now to have just the nomination from the community award to move forward is going to help my show in ways that I will never ever be able to thank again enough.
Yep.
So and I'm very aware of the fact that I was in a small category. There was like 9 cabaret / burlesque shows. And
more, but yeah.
well, there was more than
There
that.
was
Okay.
quite a few more, yeah.
Great. But like, and then it's a nominee of like 5. But then what felt meaningful to me was that even with a rather like 100 tickets or so sold, that means the people who should come to my show and were eligible to voted for me. And so that really was something that showed me of being like, I can't walk away from this Fringe experience like being disappointed in myself or being disappointed in the experience because it was really hard to sell shows more than I wanted to because I know that the content was still good. I know that what I did was still good, that I could be proud of that. So I really have to advocate for these awards. They're messy and there is a level of drama for them, but the actual things of what they do, the nominations, the award themselves, are so valuable to us artists and our shows.
I have a clear question though for this. What if there was a Cabaret and Variety sponsored award where there was like an actual company who goes and does like that is familiar with cabaret that replaced that instead of it being a community voted award and it came with opportunity?
I mean,
Yeah.
that would be incredible.
While keeping like I think we'll at minimum keep 3 audience of awards at least, but it feels like a lot and I will name it's hard because our awards need to mean something.
Honestly, that is an interesting trail to go down. The idea of getting a panel of experts who commit to going and seeing things in each.
Are they going to see enough show?
That's the other side of it is what happens when there's
they would have to
we would
100
have
shows in like I think Solo had 100 and then Drama had like.
Well, and that would be a hurdle. So naming if this were, and this is where we're just getting ideas, but if that's already the conversation we had. If we went that route, if that was what overwhelmingly made sense. Hey, wait one sec. If that overwhelmingly made sense, it would be our job to audit, to work with that company. We're not running, just like we don't fucking run awards now. We're still auditing. I'm making sure everyone is on the ballot. I'm making sure that the things are tallied up correctly, that the robot didn't mess it up. We would still do that in that the judges would have to. Would it mean more comps per those judges? Yeah, because they'd probably have to send 4 judges to ensure that they didn't wait until the last minute and everyone got sick.
But
or
less than if we're sending
Less
all
than
that you have to get all of the artists
Yeah.
to vote to go into that. It would be 4 comps versus 20.
Is it a
across the
perfect
run.
system? No.
Yeah.
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 It's-
Yeah.
I didn't like it at first.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's not a perfect system, right? Is there gonna be room for failure? Yes. but
The other idea that we had is what if the judges did the nominations list, or
Then
the community did the nominations list and the judges did the final. Like what if it was like one of their where there was a 2-step process, where there was some sort of vetting, because I think the argument is always going to like having it be from both sides gives you that like even more
Actually, that's
like
so sexy.
it gives you even more confidence that you were not only voted in by judges but also the community.
Yeah.
And I will say the audiences love it. And not right. There's not thousands and there are thousands of them to get the ballot, but easily the 2,000 or 3,000 of audience members that are actively emailing and are excited. Can I vote it? Like, can I change my ballot? And it's like, yes, it doesn't. I don't pull it until this time. Audiences love it, and I don't want to take some joy away from them because they're seeing shows to vote. You know, this is their Oscars.
I think a few things. One, we were a 1-person show that only did 3 shows. I knew going into it, we are not winning these community awards.
Yeah.
And that was fine. I wasn't bitter about it. I wasn't expecting anything. It was just like, that's not gonna be our thing because we don't have enough audience to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to that end, is there a way that if like somebody buys 10 tickets, like my dad, to then get the people that bought those tickets to be able to vote?
Yes, you can email if
They didn't know that.
They need
They're
to,
old.
but
It's
they have to have seen 3 shows.
Right.
So, and that we,
3
But
different shows.
that
not
was
3
the other
tickets to
thing.
same
They
show.
were very.
There was a few of those.
They saw all 3 of our shows
I
and they weren't
disappointed
able
a lot
to
of
vote.
mothers
I know
in
a
June.
lot of my parents were very sad.
A lot of mamas.
But I knew that wasn't going to be our thing.
Yeah.
But then for the other awards, we were nominated for 2. and ended up, we didn't win either of those, but then another award, the Splash Award, was like, you guys weren't right for this award, but we love you so much. We want to sponsor you to come and do
Happens
our
all the
show.
time. Yep.
Which I'm like, okay, are there more awards that are more general, like a best solo, a best ensemble, a best whatever, that anybody could really be in as long as they fit that category, instead of like best scary show that premiered on a Tuesday, like. Okay.
We had that show.
We did. We didn't premiere on a Tuesday, so we didn't get that one. But I'm saying, like, is there a way to have those, to your point, community awards that are then done by the judges, so that by a different company or whatever, so that you're getting people that are enjoying the show that aren't your friends, that if they like it, they really like it.
Yeah, that's our whole thought with this as judges, is that getting people in who can actually further your show is so helpful, and then also keeping some form of community voting in its purity, at least even at the top of Fringe, still being purely community voted. Like, I think that it's so difficult for us to know, because like. Bless you. Like we said, it's not that any of the shows that got nominated didn't deserve it, or that we think that our awards list was wrong. That's not it. It's that our process has been questioned every year.
Yeah.
And we see it, if we've been questioned multiple years in a row, maybe there's something wrong there.
Right.
Oh, and then we're gonna do Linnea, and then I think this is our.
But
We're gonna talk about this in the venue panels. We're also gonna talk about this with our Access Advisory Board, who's our Artist Advisory Board, who will really dive in deep with us. And there's something to noodle on here. We might even do another session.
It might be a whole thing, exactly.
We might do more. We probably will do another survey.
Yeah.
So please look out for information about that.
I have a question about reading through the different kinds of awards. I was discouraged because I had 2 one-acts, and so there was a cast of 10.
Yeah.
And most of them, so many of them, were limited from 4 or less than 4.
Yep.
And that I found discouraging. And another thing I found that quite a few of the theaters who were patron artists, who had people at their shows, that they had, so many of them had their own awards. And if you didn't have your show at a theater that had an award, then there was no chance of getting an award. I really didn't care about getting an award. I was just, thank goodness that I was able to do this.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it that I managed, and
Hell yeah! From day one, I remember you coming early. Yeah.
Yes.
Made
So,
it happen.
but anyway, I think that it was a little bit disappointing to me that so many of them only had 4 people or less.
Yeah, I will say on that end, it'll be hard to, like, there were some that were larger, but at the end of the day, most capacity for a touring show, for a show that can travel, is a small cast. Like, it is just what it is.
What the theater industry is. We can't change that.
Yeah.
But
I thought that the community awards, I like them because it's democratic. To me, it seems
It really is.
democratic.
We have no say other than, again, like, I'm making sure I count every show to make sure they're there. That is like our one
And
audit.
one
Come to my show, Ellen.
Oh, I know.
One thing I didn't realize was that
I know,
you
I'm
have
sorry,
to comp so many people in order to
It's
get
really
so
the
many
comps
people.
that gets us, because
And I
we
didn't
love
know that.
it in theory, but it's the money that is missing. That is, I don't know if people are getting enough out of it to miss up to
Just from word on the street, what we hear a lot is that you have to be at the Broadwater to win.
which is not true. If you look at who won this year, look at LA Pac having a win. Like many of these spaces.
Last year we had a third winners
Yeah.
at Stagecraft.
Half of the awards last year
Also,
that was
the
all
idea
Andrew
that,
Children.
You have to pay for your houses with Fringers exclusively just to get a vote.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's-
it's really,
that's, yeah.
and at the end of the day, again,
At that
like, I
point,
think
what are you doing for a show?
this is something that we're going to continue to think on, and not even naming that it's wrong. It's just, I think if we ever stop investigating anything, we're not doing our jobs, right? We're going to always go like, okay, what if we think it's perfect? We need to retire. Like, we need to be out.
You're always gonna have that. You're always gonna have
Yeah.
people comping. If you have a top of show Fringe community vote, everyone's gonna say the comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point of having judge kind of thank you. Having a judge vet things, because if you have a crappy show but you got a lot of friends, that's not going to do anybody any service.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you
it will
have
help. Yeah. It will help provide legitimacy too, because right now we have a really hard time providing legitimacy for like for instance, like a lot of venues in Edinburgh will email us and say like, what does the community award mean? And when we tell them this is what it means, they go, eh. Right. Whereas the sponsored awards, we go, this is what that means. They're the legitimacy that it provides within the award, I think, could be helpful for people who are looking to tour.
Yeah, because really, we have no information until later when sometimes I see shows that 8 months later. Anyway, but we have to start closing this down. I'm so sorry.
I'll say one thing real quick.
more,
More awards are better because the awards, with Peyton, more awards help us as performers.
For sure, they lower quality. The moment we used to have way too. I'm gonna name it.
We had too many
awards to the point where festivals, like when applications, you were no longer taken seriously as artists.
They stopped wanting to. They stopped viewing our awards as legitimate, and we had several conversations with several industry members that were like, "Well, your guys' awards don't mean anything, so why would you do? Why would I care?" So, and now we don't have that conversation with our industry as much, but really because of this they're looking at the Discover Fringe more than they're looking at community.
Shows in a category, so it's like if you were able to get top 5, top 8 in the 100-person, that says something, right?
No, for sure.
It says something about your producer aptitude
that we can speak to, right? Or that we can prove. At the end of the day, it's quantity or quality. We can't quantify it.
Look, I'm not a theater producer. I'm not going to judge your show. Just to be clear, there's a reason. If we did this, it would be with some in a way to make sure that it has the legitimacy, adds a legitimacy that is just not there right now.
All right, so quick. I know that the specific Discover Fringe Awards have their own committees, and so judges are kind of held to their own standards. Is there any way that we can check in to make sure that all of these other individual judges are at least willing to go to every single venue? Because it was really demoralizing hearing a judge flat out say that they weren't going to go over to basically any of the theaters near Fringe HQ because it was too far away. And I was just...
Would you email me who that was? Because I would love more information on that.
We can talk about it privately. Yeah. I already struggled with audiences, and so to hear that from a judge, I was like,
well, and it's something
there has to be some sort of
with the presenter.
Right.
This is where we can step in. And we are not in charge of the award, but we do work with them to make sure it's equitable and so that would be information that would be very helpful to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, especially because some of our awards are brand new, and so we're just developing relationships with them, and so we don't know.
We're doing surveys this year for the first time. Growth.
You got it.
Where all of the artists who got Discover Fringe Awards will get surveyed on how that experience was.
We're going to send out another. Please fill out your surveys. We'll probably send out another specific award survey too. And we got to get out of here. So if you could leave so that we can clean this up, that'd be sick. Yeah, thank you.
That's a great question.
Roddy.
Yeah, open that door in the right, hanging on the wall.